'cause I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make.
Yo, I got a lot of shit to say, so I'ma do this every day. I'll be writing things until I'm fucking buried in my grave.
We're home. Watching the tubes firing up here. Good, good, good. Sweet. Looks like we're working. Nobody's here yet. You know, I've had a bunch of road streams that keep cutting off, but we're doing tea for now. We just had some coffee. Got to get my daily dose of microplastics here. Okay. Oh, fuck. Weird. All right. Well, let's drop the link to what we're about to watch here. I'm going to watch it at all right. Welcome, whoever's here. And don't include the wife and look at no views. Right. Hey, keep the swine. Welcome. Sorry. Trying to get caught up on some things. How's the volume? Can you hear me good? Because we're going about to. RussellBrand had a fire interview with JimmyDore earlier, and I definitely want to go over that. We're going to go over some of my fantasy football league stuff, find out how people are doing. In that league, looks like we got a couple of people that really wanted to be in it, but really aren't participating much, but that's on them. Let's add Russell in here. Let's do this. It's a local scanner in the background. We're just listening.
I'm not sure what happened up here, but I might have read through everything wrong accidentally.
Due for a haircut, so
Sorry about that, sir.
we're wearing a hat. That's why I wear a hat most of the weekend. All right, let's play this.
Nothing.
We are not sponsored by, but affiliates with Coffee Brand Coffee and Lions Not Cheap. So if you're interested in any of their products, you got a discount code inDOCtriNATION. Links in the description.
Hello there, you Awakening Wonder. Thanks for joining me on Stay Free with RussellBrand on Rumble. If you're watching this on YouTube or anywhere else, eventually you're going to have to click the link in the description and join us over in Rumble. And if you can become a supporter, it's the only
You got
way that you can back
almost 90,000 live viewers for this stream.
Obviously being challenged. We've got a great show for you today. In our item, here's the news. No, here's the effing news. We are going to be talking about the state and the legacy media's war on free speech, and in particular, how that has affected me this week. We've also got JimmyDore coming up on the show, and you know what JimmyDore will be advocating for: revolution, mass disobedience, new alliances between ordinary people, putting aside the barriers and boundaries of left and right, that we can come together to oppose increasingly authoritarian, centralized power. We're going to continue to do on this channel what we've always done: tell you the truth as best we can, listen to you as best we can.
Got a couple YouTube videos too to play.
Stoltenberg acknowledging that Putin invaded Ukraine due to NATO infringement. A significant story.
I'm telling you. Oh yeah, they do.
What we've
Hell yeah,
mostly
they
schooled
do.
in is that Russia are a criminal nation led by a lunatic in Putin that unprovoked attacked Ukraine. As we always say, the Ukrainian people should be upmost in our thoughts, and the humanitarian imperatives that the world claims are what's driving this war ought be what's driving a move towards peace. But as you know, the military-industrial complex are significantly invested in what some people, JimmyDore notably, regard as a money laundering operation. Let's have a look at Stoltenberg acknowledging the simple truth that Putin was provoked.
President Putin declared in the autumn of 2021, and he actually sent a draft treaty that he wanted NATO to sign to promise no more NATO enlargement. That was what he sent us. And that was a precondition for not invade Ukraine. Of course, we didn't sign that. The opposite happened. He wanted us to sign a promise never to enlarge NATO. He wanted us to remove our military infrastructure in all allies that have joined NATO since 1997, meaning half of NATO, all the Central and Eastern Europe. We should remove NATO from back of our lines. Introducing some kind of
After 1990, NATO was no longer necessary.
We rejected that. So he went to war to prevent NATO.
As soon as the Berlin Wall went down, They should have disbanded NATO.
In a sense, what's being described there is the recipe for a peaceful resolution to this conflict, which many believe. And let me know what you think in the chat. And remember, if you press the red awaken button, you can join our community, and it's more important that you do that now than it ever has been before. Join our locals community. We need your support. We are plainly in a position where your direct support is going to be incredibly
He may be
valuable
smart
to us.
and want to move out of the UK.
The reasons that Putin went to war with Ukraine. Let's get into
They're
the story
coming for
a little
him.
more deeply. Jesse Stoltenberg asserted today that weakening Russia and Ukraine could allow the United States to intensify its efforts in countering
They're going to have him right next to Julian Assange.
China. Stoltenberg and chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Mark Milley, believe the war in Ukraine will continue for years if Kiev is to achieve its military goals. Stoltenberg said, "We must prepare ourselves for a long war in Ukraine." Who would benefit from a long war in Ukraine? Would it be the Ukrainian people, or would it be the military-industrial complex? Why don't you let us know in the chat what you think? President Biden met with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on Thursday and announced a new tranche of U.S. military aid for Ukraine that includes more cluster bombs, which are notorious for killing and maiming civilians. It seems that there's an absolute amorality when it comes to the approach of this war, when it comes to telling stories about this war, when it comes to dissenting against this war, when it comes to advocating for peace, when it comes to looking at what conditions may have led to this war. In a minute, we're going to have our presentation. Here's the news. No, here's the effing news, where I'm going to be talking about how the state, legacy media, and big tech cooperate with one another in order to control narratives that are plainly against the interests of ordinary people, how they prevent us from becoming united around topics as diverse as the pandemic and indeed this ongoing conflict, and also how the same PSYOPs units that used to be engaged in opposition against ISIS are now being deployed against domestic populations. We'll be talking about that in a matter of moments. Also, we'll be talking to JimmyDore. But I think it's important that we cover these vital issues that appear to have considerable opposition from the mainstream legacy media. We're talking about what we've always talked about. Big Pharma and their ability to assert and exert power over political process. The military-industrial complex that seem to be able to control foreign policy, to create war, and then find convenient excuses for why that war might be taking place. Most of all, what we're advocating for is our shared collective voices and our ability to independently communicate with one another, for the possibility that we might create new systems together. If we don't have the ability to control currency, if we don't have the ability to create independent media, then we are slowly being corralled into a totalitarian state where nobody has any individual power. We already live in a globalist, corporatist condition.
He was.
Unelected bodies.
This is from earlier.
NATO, no one voted for them. The WHO, no one voted for them. Or the UN are in a position where they are able to impose.
You got pretty close to 90,000 live viewers on Rumble alone.
Policy on sovereign nations. Democracy is becoming meaningless. And the only reason those stories are not being told is because legacy media are in lockstep with one another in order to prevent truthful, open, and honest conversations happening that would allow us to form new alliances. We'll be looking at that in Here's the News. But now, without going too much more deeply into this obvious crisis and counter-narrative to how the war between Ukraine and Russia began, let's have a look at the Empire State Building being lit up as a giant Pfizer needle. For what reason exactly? This is a press release about that story. Today, the Empire State Building turned its iconic building blue to announce that the CDC recommends everyone 6 months of age and older gets this season's updated COVID-19 shot. The blue light symbolizes our gratitude and appreciation for the updated vaccines and all those who made it possible. A literal monolith and icon of American culture is being turned into an advertisement for a private company. When did the symbols of a great nation become co-opted by a corporation? How has this been allowed to happen? And how is it still allowed to be referred to as a democracy? Let me know in the chat. Marty Makary, professor at Johns Hopkins School of Medicine, wrote in the New York Post that Pfizer's version of the new vaccine has not been tested on humans at all. We only have data about antibody production from 10 mice. If I wasn't reading that from a reliable scientist myself, I would assume that it was untrue. How is that plausible and feasible that a national cause, an international notion, can be presented to a global population on the basis of 10 mice? The experience of 10 mice is being used to undergird an ongoing global program.
No kidding.
A cause for some concern. In summer 2020, as COVID vaccines moved ahead at warp speed, the companies behind them promised they wouldn't make too much money. Let's see how that went.
Thanks for ever smashing the 100.
Was emphatic. His company was developing a COVID vaccine for the good of humanity, not for money, he told Time magazine in 2020. This is not business as usual, he said. If you were calculating return on investment, we would never do these things. We were discussing that back in March, what that means to human lives, to the economy of the world. So it must be that we take those measures. Plus, Pfizer would not overcharge for the mRNA vaccine it was developing with the German company BioNTech, Baller said. We're going to charge governments
everybody who has
very nominal value.
Even if you don't like the way the app's working right now, even if you're not a big fan of alt tech, they'll come for you. You should have a Rumble account at least set up. And if you're a creator, there's no reason why you shouldn't have a channel ready.
He said. Asked directly if Pfizer intended to profit, Baller said, "We will make a very, very marginal profit at this stage." So, were Pfizer telling the truth? Pfizer made more than $100 billion in profits from the COVID vaccine in 2022.
Oh, yeah, I never got it either.
Facts seem to me to be significant.
Pure
Those
blood
facts
here.
seem to me worthy of discussion. And I don't think we're going to see that discussed on the mainstream media.
I'm lucky I work pretty independent.
Noticed how the mainstream media reports on certain stories, investigating them extremely thoroughly, and elsewhere there is little or no debate or dissent. What do you think about that? What do you think is actually happening? So, whether it's the war in Ukraine and NATO's involvement in provoking it, or Pfizer's relationship with the United States of America and their ability to co-opt national symbols of pride and turn them into corporate emblems.
You mean you've had the flu a couple times?
That have only been, let's face it, tested on 10 mice. It seems that the state and the media have a pretty close relationship. Let's have a look.
Because you know, once COVID came, the flu went away.
Demonetized on YouTube. You're fully well aware that the government wrote to social media platforms to demand that I be further censored. Here's the news. No. Here's the news.
No, here's the fucking news.
The corporatist state and global media war against free speech is in full swing. How do I know? Take a guess.
Oh, there she
Today,
is.
of course, we're talking about events of the last week, but in particular, the collusion between big tech and government and an apparent concerted effort by legacy media and now the state and big tech to silence independent media voices. Obviously, it's difficult for me to be entirely objective given the events of the last week, but that is what we must try to do. And thankfully, we have some incredible reporting from the Grey Zone and elsewhere, as well as being able to introduce you to the concept of the Trusted News Initiative. This is a long-standing agreement.
I still have an active community strike, so even when I go over 500, I'm not going to be able to monetize till that goes away. I think October 9th.
Enemy, independent media voices. What do they mean by that? Do you think this is simply about business? Do you think that this is about clicks and revenue? Or do you think that there is something bigger at stake? Something of incredible ideological significance? What do you think is the relationship between the media and the state? Do you think, looking back at the last couple of years, in particular the pandemic and the current war, that there has been support from the media when it comes to government policy, and accountability and questioning when it comes to very important and significant questions? Do you think that the legacy media has been investigating the causes of this war, the origins of this war, with the kind of vigor that you might have seen elsewhere? Do you think that the legacy media has been investigating Big Pharma, the imperatives, incentives, financial undergirding of Big Pharma in the way that they have investigated other matters? Let me know in the chat.
This is how I relax from vacation.
More now than ever before that we have to analyze, review, and understand exactly what's happening, literally on a global scale, between the mainstream media, the state, and big tech. Let's get into it. The author of letters to social media companies demanding the financial punishment of RussellBrand is a British lawmaker implicated in London's war on COVID-19 and Ukraine dissenters. Her husband was a commander in the Army's PSYOPs division. The Grey Zone can now reveal that YouTube's financial censorship of RussellBrand is the result of an effort waged by a former British government minister who was responsible for London's crackdown on dissent during the COVID-19 pandemic. Her husband has also participated in that campaign of state repression as commander of the 77th Brigade, the British Army's psychological warfare division. New developments suggest YouTube.
I'm getting decent views on Rumble now too, so they don't chat much.
On September the 19th, the social media companies TikTok and Rumble
actually have
a pair of almost identical letters dispatched from Caroline Dinenage, the head of the UK
5 people on
Parliament's
YouTube right now. I have
Culture,
9
Sports
on Rumble.
Dinenage informed the companies she was concerned that Brand may be able to profit from his content published on both platforms. She then suggested they impose financial penalties. In a sense, the bypass of judicial process, right to punitive measures, financial ones, seems like an interesting stance for a government minister to be suggesting to a big tech platform. The committee's letter to Rumble contained a direct demand for demonetization. We would like to know whether Rumble intends to join YouTube in suspending Mr. Brand's ability to earn money on the platform. In a withering response to Dineage's letter, Rumble CEO Chris Pavlovski asserted that Rumble emphatically rejects the UK Parliament's demands. This is, of course, why we are fortunate to be on Rumble. Please join us there. Please consider supporting us so that we can continue with our organisation. I'm beginning to think that
I didn't know you got your channel taken either.
Due to recent events. The CEO continued, "We regard it as deeply inappropriate and dangerous that the UK Parliament would attempt to control who is allowed to speak on our platform or earn a living from doing so." Caroline Dinenage served as the UK government's digital and culture minister from...
Well, believe me, I've worked through 6 strikes since I started my channel because of the stuff I show.
February 2020 to September 2021, making her de facto chief of the Department of Culture, Media and Sports, DCMS. In this capacity, she was personally responsible for...
I created my Rumble channel after my first strike. I didn't start really streaming on it until January.
Overseeing construction...
Nope, they won't tell me why. Even when I know it's not even a person even looking at it because I gave a rebuttal to my last strike and they responded within 30 seconds. So a bot responded, or AI responded.
Of the repressive World Economic Forum endorsed online safety bill, which has been criticized by rights groups for threatening the rights to free expression and privacy. For her leading role in crafting the bill, Dinenage was honored by the Princess Royal with the title of Dame Commander of the British Empire. Moreover, during this period, the DCMS was home to the shadowy intelligence official-run counter-disinformation unit, which policed COVID-19 disinformation narratives online. Investigations by the civil liberties organisation Big Brother Watch has revealed that instead of suppressing content that posed...
Okay. And my last strike was because I purportedly said what I was showing was live when it wasn't live. Okay. That video has me showing Eric Brandt videos. Now, everyone who watches this in this community or watches the things that I watch knows Eric Brandt is in prison. So no way did I ever purport that as being live. And that was my statement to them. It was very thought out. It was, I mean, almost used every character I could use on my response, and they replied within 30 seconds. Appeal denied.
Risks to public health. The CDU was preoccupied with censoring and platforming reasonable online criticisms of the British government's COVID-19 response, including opposition to lockdowns and vaccine passports. What we appear to be looking at here are a set of collaborating institutions that have an agenda and then pursue that agenda. Even when in pursuing it, they have to bypass, repress, obstruct, or absolutely ignore existing judicial or regulatory bodies and protocols by moving straight to punitive measures, by bypassing judicial systems, and in particular in the event of COVID, of course, repressing true information, preventing healthy online debate. It's plain that there were narratives that were repressed during the COVID pandemic. It's plain during the ongoing Ukraine-Russia conflict.
At least it's not all pixeled like when I'm driving.
I'm not allowed to be on most social media sites. Rumble continue to host Russia Today so that people are able to discern from
I got to come up with a better connection in my car.
This, I feel, is an important component in any democracy. Let me know.
My hotspot, my car's hotspot just isn't working well.
The Ukraine war in 2022. Doesn't it seem odd to you that you can move from a health pandemic to a war? Aren't they quite distinct, compartmentalized issues? Doesn't it seem, therefore, that the real issue is not the subject themselves, a pandemic and how to handle that sensibly, or a war and how to handle that judiciously and correctly, but dissent itself? The ability to oppose existing narratives, the ability to begin to organize communities against establishment narratives and preferred systemic outcomes is being closed down, I would suggest, on the basis of this, rather aggressively. Let me know what you think. Dinenage's husband, Mark Lancaster, helped lead London's blitz on pandemic dissent as deputy commander of the British Army's 77th Brigade between June 2018 and July 2022. Specialised in behaviour and attitudinal change, which in itself seems like a strange military unit. What are we going to do about behaviour and attitude?
When he interviews JimmyDore in a few minutes, it gets fired.
The 77th Brigade
Jimmy goes off.
Militia of real fake and automated social media accounts to disseminate and amplify pro-state messaging and discredit domestic and foreign enemies. During the pandemic, the 77th Brigade targeted people within Britain and across the West with advanced psychological manipulation strategies honed on battlefields against enemy militaries. It seems that, in the absence of an external enemy, the domestic population becomes the enemy, and any ability to organise and communicate with the domestic population in order that they act on behalf of their own interests has to be silenced and shut down using whatever techniques are necessary and possible. It's only a short while since the pandemic ended, and who knows, maybe the pandemic will begin again. But we now know that at the beginning of the pandemic, theories and ideas were being discussed at the very highest level that were dismissed publicly. We now know that experts with legitimate voices, valid views, clinical trials, significant information were silenced, not because of your safety or my safety, but precisely because it was necessary to control them. Once these institutions exist,
JC is a Britophobe.
it becomes apparent that they can be deployed not only with a pandemic or a war, but potentially with anything that poses a threat to existing narratives. The online profile of a 77th Brigade veteran notes that they were deployed straight from a tour of the Middle East, where they successfully implemented behavioural change strategies against ISIS to countering disinformation and misinformation during the COVID-19 crisis. Doesn't it seem odd that ISIS and the COVID-19 crisis were handled by the same unit, were treated in the same way, when ISIS were the most overt, explicit, amplified enemy and threat that the world had ever faced at that time? And doesn't it seem to you as well a coincidence worth noting that at the commencement of the COVID-19 pandemic, the problem of ISIS just appeared to disintegrate entirely? I'm not suggesting any conspiratorial reason for this. I'm sure there are military, strategic, geopolitical, ideological, and philosophical reasons for this. But the very fact that the same unit that was used to confront and counter ISIS is used to confront and counter you strikes me as worthy of consideration and contemplation. Let me know what you think. However, in January, an ex-brigade whistleblower revealed how the Ministry of Defence and RRU routinely circumvented British law to advance the government's crusade against pandemic dissent. It appears there are financial ties between Google and the person that wrote that letter. It's worth noting, too, that Google is a competitor to Rumble, a significant competitor, a near monopolist. How do media organisations cooperate with one another when it comes to presenting a news narrative? You will remember, perhaps in particular, the Joe Rogan horse medicine moment. You will recall how you saw a spate of comparable headlines from around the world using the same wording. You will perhaps recall that you never once heard, hold on a second, this is a Nobel Prize winning medicine, the inventor of which literally has a statue outside of medical organisations. A revered and significant medicine was simultaneously referred to as horse paste around the world. How does something like that happen? How does the media operate in coordination and lockstep to present a narrative that appears to be impenetrable, so immersive and absolute that it simply must be true? Well, apparently there's an organisation called the Trusted News Initiative. We've said many times on our channel that when you have a word like trusted in the name of an organisation, it's worth
I agree, Dreamland.
whether or not you can trust them. Let's find out what the Trusted News Initiative
Rumble took itself off out of France.
Legacy media and big tech sites in order to prevent independent media voices
refused
communicating. How effective could that be? Is it possible to shut down independent media? What strategies would be deployed? How would they work together? Surely the BBC and CNN and the New York Times and various other organizations, online ones like Facebook, would have a vested interest in competing with one another. Is that true? Let's find out. In January, the chairman of the Children's Health Defense, Robert Kennedy, and other plaintiffs filed a lawsuit against the Trusted News Initiative alleging antitrust and First Amendment violations. Trusted News Initiative, launched in March 2020, is a coalition of some of the world's largest news organizations, including the Associated Press, the BBC, the Washington Post, and Reuters, who partnered with big tech with the aim of stopping the spread of misinformation. It's just a couple of weeks to stop the spread. Kennedy, CHD, and several other organizations, journalists, and individuals filed a lawsuit that these legacy news organizations partnered with big tech to collectively censor online news about COVID-19 and the 2020 presidential election that did not align with the official narratives. The result was a significant loss in visibility and revenue. It appears
there's still a lot of viewers from France. They just have to VPN out.
News organizations are collaborating, and I hesitate to use this word, conspiring to control global news narratives in some of the most important stories in the world. Why? Well, let's explain to you that their intention, it appears, and this is explicit, and we have a quote that undergirds this claim, the explicit intention is to shut down independent media voices. The lawsuit notes that there are two categories of TNI members: legacy news organizations and big tech platforms. You will remember that there was a time where on certain platforms, for example, YouTube, where we are now significantly demonetized, you used to have the sense that independent news organizations could flourish, could burgeon, could come up, could establish an audience precisely because they would report in a different way to the mainstream news media. Over time, it's become clear that whether it's on the left or the right, when it comes to significant issues, mainstream media and legacy media organizations report in the same way. I'm talking, for example, about the pandemic or about war, important defining issues. Initially, there was a point where online platforms housed
everybody on
media
Rumble
in a favorable way, but something appeared to change. It appears that big tech platforms and legacy media started to operate in alignment with one another. Well, why would that be? And is there any paper trail for how that happened and why that would happen? The TNI exists too, in its own words, choke off.
There's good people and bad people, no matter where you're from.
The News Initiative or any of its members peremptorily deems misinformation, the lawsuit states. Choke off and stamp out independent news voices. Let me know what you think. TNI members have targeted and suppressed completely accurate online reporting by non-mainstream news publishers concerning both COVID-19 on matters including treatment, immunity, lab leak, vax injury, and lockdowns and lockdown mandates, and US elections, such as the Hunter Biden laptop story. It adds, by their own admission, members of the TNI have agreed to work together and have in fact worked together to exclude from the world's dominant internet platforms rival news publishers who engage in reporting that challenges and
I relate daily with people that think the exact opposite as me,
and US politics. My objectivity has been strongly challenged over recent weeks, but I recognize that I'm an insignificant
just misinformed
in the scheme of things. What is incredibly important is independent media. What is incredibly important is the ability to hold the establishment to account. What is incredibly important is that you have independent media that doesn't just accept government narratives, but investigates, challenges mainstream legacy media narratives and government narratives. For example, a group like...
I had to find my own way out of the bootlicking back the blues society that I was living in. I think everybody should have to do that too. I'm not going to force anybody to do that. And if you truly believe, hopefully the gods are with you.
The grey zone. It doesn't even matter where politically they might lie, on the left or the right. This is becoming increasingly irrelevant because what we're seeing is the rise of centralization and authoritarianism, a desire to censor, to surveil, to control, to shut down dissent, and to deprive people of the option of meaningful political alternatives. What we are being given is a homogenized media space that literally has an accord to agree with one another and to defy, shut down, oppress, choke out, stamp on independent media voices. Why is that? Well, one might imagine is because they are in absolute alignment with centralist state and globalist elite dictates, and they simply don't want opposing voices out there. Because if there are opposing voices out there, then we have an alternative. We have an alternative view. We have the ability to oppose their agenda. Once independent voices are stamped out, then all you have are legacy media outlets who already agree with one another and already agree with the corporatist state. That means there will be no
happy fuck the cops day every day.
While the Trusted News Initiative publicly purports to be a self-appointed truth police, and that's not really the way to appoint police, is it? Who should be the police? Me? Extirpating online misinformation. In fact, it has suppressed wholly accurate and legitimate reporting in furtherance of the economic self-interest of its members. Economic self-interest of its members. Closing down truthful conversation, legitimate data in order to pursue economic interests. I believe it goes beyond even economic interests. I believe this is about ideology and the ability to oppose ideology.
Dirty.
I believe this is about freedom.
Is it?
This is about real democracy. Because for there to be real democracy, there has
Glad you liked it.
There has to be open communication. There has to be the ability to challenge mainstream media narratives. You can't have a media that is in lockstep with itself, immersively attacking on subjects like the war, COVID-19 and how to handle it, and a host of other
It's
issues.
mostly taught.
Here we have the evidence that the mainstream media is working together to support a state agenda. Do you agree? Let me know. To support the allegation, the lawsuit cites several public statements made by TNI members. In March 2020, then senior news controller at BBC News, Jamie Angus, explained TNI's strategy to beat disinformation. Now remember, we've said for a long time, disinformation is an extraordinary new term. Disinformation, misinformation, malinformation. What is meant? Often it's information that is at odds with the agenda of the powerful. So here's that quote. Because actually the real rivalry now is not between, for example, the BBC and CNN globally. It's actually between all trusted news providers. Trusted means members of this cartel. Trusted news providers and a tidal wave of unchecked reporting, uncensored reporting that's being piped out mainly through digital platforms, independent media like this. That's the real competition now in the digital media world. Of course, organizations will always compete against one another for audiences, but the existential threat, I think, is that overall breakdown in trust, so that trusted news organizations lose in the long term if audiences just abandon the idea of a relationship of trust with news organizations. And what is happening with trust in mainstream media organizations? Well, nearly
Victor Davis
60% of people
Hansen.
see mainstream media as a threat to democracy, according to one poll. The UK's got the second lowest levels of trust in the press in the survey of 24 countries, only Egypt having less trust. America's trust in media remains at a new record low, and trust in media is so low that half of Americans now believe that news organizations deliberately mislead them. So if you're in America, you're already accustomed to the idea that the mainstream media deliberately misleads you. Why? Because they want to destroy independent media, because they are in alliance with centralist state and corporatist imperatives, and because they do not want dissenting and opposing voices. And remember, we showed you earlier, when it comes to the intelligence and psyops component of this, it doesn't matter whether you're a foreign combatant,
It's the definition of propagandist.
ISIS, or someone that has questions about COVID-19. You are regarded as an enemy of the centralist state and corporate media narrative, and you have to be shut down. The spokesman for the Trusted News Initiative continued. So actually, we've got a lot more to hold us together than we have to work in competition with one another. Plaintiffs are online news publishers who, as a result of the TNI's group boycott, have been censored,
Most of us,
monetized,
but the normal, the guy you're talking about,
excluded
Victor
entirely from
Davis
platforms like
Hansen.
Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. Explaining how TNI acts as a global media monopoly, CHD President Mary Holland said, they couch what they're doing, their conspiracy to suppress independent media, i.e. the voices of dissent about election information and COVID information, as a need to preserve the trust of the people and upgrade the trust. By censoring independent voices, what they're doing is economic suppression. Antitrust is against trusts, is against monopolies. And what the TNI has done is essentially create a global media monopoly in the English language. Plainly, this is a story that is much bigger than me. Plainly, the Trusted News Initiative has an agenda, an explicit agenda to throttle and choke independent media. Plainly, the government are reaching out to ask big tech platforms to suppress the voices of content creators from independent media outlets, particularly those that are dissenting. And as you have seen, many of those media organizations have been willing to comply. It seems to me highly possible and likely that legacy media organizations and big tech platforms are collaborating in a variety of ways. Look at the reporting on geopolitical conflicts. Look at the ability of the military-industrial complex to apparently control those narratives and shut down dissent and direct public funds. Look at what happened in the pandemic period and how difficult it was to have true information and legitimate experts.
Does he teach at Hillsdale College?
Something happening. We can see the legislation for it in all of the Five Eyes countries. We can see that the Trusted News Initiative is a cartel of groups with a clear agenda. They're not competing with one another. They are competing with independent media voices. And that's not because the independent media voices themselves are important. There are thousands of them. That's what is significant. That is what is powerful. What is truly important is the ability for dissent, your dissent, to be expressed. The ability for those of us that disagree with this system, that disagree with centralized authoritarianism, to have the ability to communicate with one another, to have the ability to discuss these topics, to have the ability
I'll play some poker tonight.
That seems to me to be about closing down individual freedom, closing down democracy, centralizing
probably
power,
reset the stream for it because I'll have to. Oh no, I didn't. I didn't plug in the other camera, so I should be able to play it on here.
Is always the same. We have to shut down dissenting voices. And when you have PSYOP organizations that treat people that have questions about a health issue the same way that they would treat terrorists this, then I think it's time to look at the way that information is being reported and the way that information is being conveyed. Stay free.
No, here's the fucking news.
Joining me now is JimmyDore, comedian, political commentator, and host of the JimmyDore Show. Jimmy, thank you for joining me this week.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Obviously, I now, in particular, have a new experience on the way that the media and the state can cooperate and corroborate one another's narratives and stories. I'm beginning to sense that if you publicly question important stories that are agenda-led, like, for example, the war in Ukraine or the response to the COVID pandemic, that it appears that there is some significant heft behind controlling those narrative spaces and preventing them from being overtly challenged. Can you tell me what your personal experience is around censorship and whether or not you ever personally feel there is an attempt to close down independent media voices?
Well, 100%. I've experienced it. I experience it every day with YouTube demonetizing videos for no reason. The first time it happened, they took down, I think, 3 or maybe 5 of my videos in 2021 because I was doing videos that talked about the efficacy of the vaccine. And I stated that it didn't stop transmission or contraction of the virus, which we all know now. And at that time, I had kind of pieced it together myself. And I had on Dr. Robert Malone, who explained how that worked to me. And then I got censored by YouTube for that. And when I asked what was this censorship for and why did you take down these 5 videos, and they said it was because I gave misinformation saying the vaccine didn't stop transmission. And when I showed them, well, the FDA says they don't know if it stops transmission, that they hope it does. And so their response to that was, oh, no, we made a mistake. It's because you said it doesn't stop contraction of this. So they just changed the whole thing. They gave me a strike on YouTube. You know how important that is. Or they gave me a warning, which is the first step to giving you a strike. And so I've had that happen. And every day now, the demonetization of videos have been ramped up. The most recent ridiculous one was I did a video about Justin Trudeau being protested by Canadians over how he treated the truckers over the vaccine and over their protests. I did a video just showing people protesting him, and they demonetized it. And the reason they gave was that it was targeted harassment. So somehow I'm not allowed to show people protesting the leader of Canada, the most powerful person in all of Canada, because I'm harassing him. So that's the kind. So they're protecting the powerful and they're censoring the powerless. The people speaking to the power, they're censoring.
There it is.
I've experienced it every day.
And that's YouTube
It's
to a
extraordinary
T.
that an organization like Pfizer is able to assert as much power and control over the legacy media
Really?
as it currently does.
I'll check them out.
It's extraordinary that we have
I'm
social
looking at his
spectacles like the Empire State
Wikipedia
Building
right now.
being lit up as a Pfizer vaccine jab. It's extraordinary that the ability for even relatively small independent media organizations like ours to inquire appears to be met with
they
such
don't.
hostility. And it also appears that regardless of the subject,
Hey, Jody.
whether or not it's war or pandemic response, the same PSYOP units, this I'm speaking in particular in the UK, the same PSYOP unit moved effortlessly from responding to ISIS to responding to what it called COVID disinformation, to responding to dissent around the war. It's difficult to not start to appreciate that the population, the public, the citizenry are actually the enemies of the state and their corporate allies. This is becoming clearer and clearer. And it seems to me extraordinary that we've arrived at this point where free speech and ordinary protocols of justice are being bypassed. How have we gotten here, Jimmy? And what dangers does it pose in the coming years?
Well, we've gotten here because they have to control the narrative. Before, it was easier for them to control the narrative because they held all the strings to the media. So now that we have media, social media, and things like YouTube, Rumble, that we can actually get our message out to question authority, that's what's dangerous
See you later,
for them.
Nikki.
And so they have to control the narrative. They have to censor things that are detrimental to the
Thanks for dropping
establishment,
in.
because if they can't do that, then they have to start disappearing people, and that's a little harder and it's a little more risky. So right now they can discredit you. Let's just be honest, right? So when Tucker Carlson got fired from Fox News, it wasn't because he was lying. There's people lie on Fox News all the time. They lie on corporate media all the time. They're currently lying to you about COVID, and they're currently lying to you at the top of their lungs about the Ukraine war. Nobody gets fired for that. You get fired for telling the truth. And that's the thing that scares them the most. You don't get in trouble for lying. You get promoted for lying. Look at Rachel Maddow. She did the most Russiagate segments of anybody on television. She told people that Russia was going to turn off their heat in the winter. She told them everything, every lie that could possibly be told about Russia and Russiagate and Donald Trump. And she got rewarded with a $35 million contract contract, which is $100,000 a day. That's what they pay propagandists to lie. But if you tell the truth, you will be discredited and you will be demonetized for sure. I mean, they control, it's a handful of
No, they
people
don't.
that run the world right now. And people don't realize this. There's that movie Network. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but in the movie, Ned Beatty says there are no countries anymore. There are only companies and the international transfer of dollars. And so people like us, we upset that balance, that international transfer of dollars, because the truth might get to the taxpayers, might get to the people, and there might be a revolution. Now, in the United States, during the Great Depression, FDR, the only reason he gave people Social Security, the only reason he gave people a job program was because the establishment, the ruling capitalists, were afraid of an actual revolution. And so FDR told the wealthy, from the class that he came from, he said, if you don't give them some of your money, they're going to come and take all of your money. And so that's the only thing that scares them, is an actual revolution, which is what I think we need right now in the United States, or in the West for sure, because we are controlled by a handful of billionaires. Right now, in the United States, we have people living under every bridge. People don't have a living wage. 80% of workers live paycheck to paycheck. We don't have health care. People still go bankrupt. I was one of them went bankrupt when I got sick. They still get unlimited money to Ukraine. And so what does that tell you? They're doing. So Chris Hedges once said that they're lying, cheating right now, and nobody cares. And that's exactly what concocted this Ukraine
Jenny Cush.
So they can do a money laundering operation.
But you're talking about COVID.
Called the Ukraine War, which they provoked.
Jenny Cush.
So they can start their money laundering operation to give it to their donors. This is all about the donor class running our Congress and our presidency, at least in the United States, the donor class does, which is why they're also criminalizing Donald Trump, because they've demonized Donald Trump as a white supremacist. That's what the establishment flexes now. First, they call you a sexist, then they call you a misogynist, then they call you a white supremacist, and they've done this to Donald Trump. And now it's harder to sell wars with someone you've demonized as a white supremacist. So now he's no longer useful to the establishment. So that's why they have to discredit him and criminalize his organization. So that's exactly what's going on. And so now there's also protesters in Atlanta, Georgia, who are protesting against the expansion of the police state there. It's called Stop Cop City. So the same jury that used a thing called the RICO laws. RICO laws were invented in the United States specifically to go after the mafia. They're now using it to go after their political opponents, whether it be Donald Trump or whether it be protesters against the expansion of the police state in the United States. And people pretend they don't see those two things. You don't have to like Donald Trump to be worried about this. I'm not a Donald Trump supporter. I never voted for Donald Trump, but I can see it's just like that old saying, when they came for the Jews, I didn't say anything because I wasn't. When they came for the trade unionists, I didn't say anything but when they came for me, there was nobody left to say anything. And that's why it's important we stand up now and say something about the criminalization of the politics and the political opponents of the establishment. That's what we're seeing left and right, whether it's about COVID, whether about the truckers, whether it be about climate change and the way they're using our fear of climate change to control us, manipulate us, and get us to hate each other. And that's another thing that the establishment corporate news does in the United States, is they report every story in a way that turns the country against each other. And against, I'm supposed to blame right now, the establishment wants me to, they did a controlled demolition of our economy during COVID that wrecked everybody except a handful of millionaires and billionaires at the top. And they want me to hate my neighbor and blame my neighbor for the pain I'm feeling because they wouldn't take a vaccine that didn't work the way they said it did in the first place. Well, I'm not going to hate my neighbor because they're suffering just like everybody else is under the same garbage from the oligarchy, and I'm going to join with them to oppose them. And it's so bad in the United States that they won't even give money to those victims in Maui right now. They got totally wiped.
Thanks for the follows on Rumble, guys.
Joe Biden, but only if we give another $24 billion to the most corrupt country in Europe with absolutely no oversight whatsoever. It's 100% money laundering operation, the Ukraine war. We're completely
just two did it at once. It won't tell me the names.
That can save us now in the United States is a revolution that takes down and tears apart the government and the corporate media.
Jimmy, that is a powerful piece of rhetoric that you have just unloaded. And it's impossible not to take note of Julian Assange's famous observation that the function of government is to take money from public hands and to place it in the hands of private interests, and that they have become adept at providing means to undertake that very thing. This criminalization of opposition in all its forms, whether that's at the level of the individual in order to facilitate censorship, whether it's to legitimize more surveillance, whether it's to create more and more opposition between communities that might otherwise be united, appears to be a technique and a tactic that is plainly on the rise. When you talk about revolution like that, and when you describe the conditions in your country, and it's not that different in our country, Jimmy, to tell you the truth, it seems that what you're describing are the perfect conditions for revolution. Disenfranchisement, disenchantment, attacks on not only humanity itself, but almost the essence of humanity. Values like kindness, compassion, unity, forgiveness, redemption, justice. The institutions themselves are becoming an anathema to our highest creeds, our highest values. I would say The apotheosis of humanity is our ability to cultivate and create cultures around compassion and kindness and unity and fairness and justice. And it seems that these models, these modes, are being broken down. When you describe a figure like Trump being criminalized in the way that he evidently and plainly has, vilified to the point where there are certain people who can't even hear his name without it like being a dark bell rung in their hearts, it shows us that we're at a point of almost ubiquitous fracture. I wonder, Jimmy, how you see the role of independent media relating to new independent political movements, and even if those political movements are currently within, in your country, the main parties. I'm talking specifically, I suppose, about Bobby Kennedy, who's emerging out of this pandemic and war period as an authentic voice, and in spite of his surname and the obvious fact that that means to a degree he's a legacy politician, he's creating a lot of hope. He's creating a lot of traction. He's the first political figure, perhaps other than Trump, with Trump's relationship with Twitter, who's been able to gain access to an audience without having to move through the legacy media gatekeepers who seem hell-bent on preventing oppositional voices from uniting and from being amplified. When you talk about revolution, obviously it seems in 2023 with a militarized police force, with a surveillance state, with anti-protest laws, with the increasing ability of governments to switch off money supply, to shut off your tech, to shut off your ability to communicate, that the type of revolution that we're discussing would have to have a very different flavor and would perhaps have to coalesce around political figures that are willing to carry that burden. Do you think it is a revolution that requires leaders? Do you think it is a revolution that's happening at the level of the nation? Do you think it's a revolution that by its nature has to include a significant portion of the population? And if so, what do you think is going to be the significance of relationships between independent media, particularly if independent media is under attack, and independent political voices? How are these new nexuses or nexi to be formed? And do you see that formation taking place yet, Jimmy?
Well, I do. I think Bobby Kennedy, as his almost entire campaign is being run in alternative independent media. He's going around the mainstream news media, and he's going directly to the people. He's going through podcasts. And so, of course, they have to demonize those podcasts. I just saw the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, said he's worried because his son is listening to Joe Rogan. And I'm like, yeah, well, guess what? Joe Rogan didn't lie to his kid about the Ukraine war, about the truckers, about COVID, mandates, vaccines, lockdowns. Guess who did? Gavin Newsom did, and the establishment. This idea that the corporate news and the government officials put forward that somehow we're at risk, imperiled by independent media spreading misinformation. Well, I'm here to tell you, we all know that the number one spreader of misinformation and lies is the government. The second is the corporate media. And third.
And this is where Jimmy veers off and he says it's the capitalists doing it. No, it's corporate aristocrats. He kind of gives an argument for communism, and I don't agree with that, but I can see kind of his point, but
is everybody else a distant third. And so this idea that we have to worry about independent citizens having an opinion and sharing it on social media, that's the problem, again, is misdirection. It's having us turn on each other instead of turning on the powerful. And so we have to keep our eye on the ball and what happens.
Because communism is never real communism. It's always, you have corporate elites that are still doing business as usual, and then they decide what the people get.
So I remember when Christian Smalls, who that is, he started the Amazon Union on Staten Island in New York City. And he was a black guy who got fired by Amazon at the beginning of COVID. And he stood out there and he organized those workers against him. And who did he organize with? He organized with Trump voters, because that's who is on Staten Island. That's who's working at that Amazon fulfillment center. So this is class. They don't want us coming together by class. That's why they stress identity politics. Let's remember what identity politics is. Instead of the establishment fixing a problem, what they do is they put someone in charge of the problem from a marginalized group. So now if you still complain about that problem, they can dismiss you as a phobe of some kind, a sexist, or a white supremacist. That's what that about. You know what I say? If it was 1860, the Democrats wouldn't be fixing slavery. They'd be bragging about their first transgendered slave owner. So this is real. And that's a joke, but it's also very serious, because they want us to identify as individuals, and they don't want us to identify along class lines, because that is the only thing that scares people. People from the left and the right and the center coming together to realize we have a common interest and a common enemy. That's the only thing that could scare them. That's the only thing that that will do anything to them. And that's why it was so important that they demonized the truckers in Canada. They had to call them white supremacists. They called them Nazis. And the truckers in Canada were vaccinated at a higher rate than the general population. They weren't protesting medicine. They were protesting bullshit authoritarianism. And they were right, and they were freedom fighters. But in the United States, our corporate media so propagandizes us that we can't tell the difference between a freedom fighter and a Nazi. We look at the truckers and we call them Nazis, and we look at the Nazis in Ukraine and we call them freedom fighters. That is the upside down, backwards world we have us living in right now.
It's actually literally Orwellian, where the meaning of words is being altered, where the ability to communicate is being shut down, where a kind of existential crisis is being induced so that people don't feel free to communicate, don't feel safe to have opinions, don't feel safe to...
And but the thing is, it shouldn't, JC, it shouldn't mean many different things. There should be a definition of a word. And whether you support that word or not, or ideology or not, whatever, that's what they're talking about here, is the fact that they've changed. It's called Orwellian. They've changed the meaning of words. I mean, vaccination. I mean,
knock the edges off between the obvious differences between people, that we can find common ground together. Your example of Christian Smalls, I think, is apposite, because what he created and what he participated in was significant, because by bypassing
thanks for following
the vision that the top-down elite model would impose, you're able to actually gain some traction. You're actually able to locate some power where ordinarily there is just a kind of existential despair. If you're working at an Amazon site, whether it's in the UK, Tilbury, where I'm from, or whether it's in Staten Island, presumably nearer to where you're from, it doesn't matter. You're suffering under the same conditions. I suppose one of the things we have to face is that the models of the last century are starting to become defunct. Models that emerged out of industry, like socialist movements that emerged out of industry, in particular union movements, do not seem to be able, other than in the example that you've just given, to operate at scale in a way that's meaningful, particularly not when confronted with a kind of centralist behemoth of this nature. I suppose we live in unprecedented times of scale. There was never before the ability to have the kind of globalism that we currently have, where there are unelected bureaucratic bodies, whether that's NATO or the WHO, that have a level of power that's unimaginable.
Check it out.
That alloyed to the kind of ability to communicate and control that big tech platforms have, mean that the ability to organize and confront of ordinary people has to kind of radically alter. The rhetoric that you and I engage in, and compliment you now, Jimmy, you convey this stuff so beautifully.
No,
so
nobody chats in Rumble.
articulately.
Like I said, I have 10 people in there and nobody says a word. Once in a while, the thing is, a lot of times I don't attend the chat because most of the software I use doesn't allow me to see the Rumble chat. I mean, the day when I can finally add the Rumble chat into a multi-platform streaming software, or even they have their own, I'll be able to see the chat. So I do get views there, and I think repeat views, and then sometimes even comments, but nobody really gets in the chat that much, because a lot of times if I'm driving and stuff like that, I can't see the chat. I gotta drive. I would have to have it pulled up on a second device. And
the point of organization, because clearly it seems that this is something that has to happen at scale, because every single crisis is treated as an opportunity. Every single crisis seems to have the same resolution: limit and prohibit the power of individuals, increase the power of the state, ignore the
yeah, I just don't engage with that, Julian. I have friends that I think are delusional, but I don't discuss these things with them.
Impact of large centralized organizations on the problem. For example, if you take climate change, which of course I'm entirely sympathetic towards, it's just I note that whenever solutions are offered, they're usually solutions that are punitive to ordinary people, rather than solutions that may impact the profit of powerful organizations, or impact the business model even of powerful organizations. It seems, I suppose, God, what I'm starting to realize even as I'm talking to you, is that the role we have is about providing cartilage and connection and hope. Without some kind of hope, it becomes impossible to even conceive of moving forward. Jim, I've got a whole bunch of things that we can run through. Like currently, Zelensky is in DC requesting $24 billion. And this is, again, off the agenda, particularly among progressive Democrats, isn't any kind of argument for peace advocacy. In fact, peace is being regarded as the problem rather than war. Tell us what that indicates.
So they just had a climate march in New York City. when I was there. I think they said 25,000 people showed up to it. Now, what they had was a bunch of quote unquote progressive Democrats speaking there.
Yeah, but I don't
So
pretend
they're
to be
supposed
something I'm
opposed to
not,
climate
though.
change and
I won't do
fossil fuels,
that.
while, of course, the Democratic Party is opening up Alaska to drilling, and they blew up the Nord Stream pipeline, which is the biggest. So Joe Biden and the Democrats are the biggest eco-terrorists in the world. This idea that they're actually fighting climate change is garbage. What they're using is our fear of climate change to control us, right? And so they also are demonizing communism, right? So a lot of people in the United States, anyway, the new meme is to equate what happened during COVID with the Democrats, the left, and communism. So I have to explain to those people, this wasn't communism. This is called capitalism and the corporate capture of our government. This was done to us by capitalists. It wasn't done to us by communists. This was done to us by Pfizer.
I'm gonna let this play. I gotta feed those guys, or they're not gonna leave me
and the
alone.
Wall Street Journal and the New York Times and the bought media and the bought government politicians. So this idea that it's communism is wrong. The other idea that somehow those Democrats who are fighting climate change are true is garbage, because they all support the Ukraine war. Now, here's a fact that might stun some people. The number one emitter of carbon dioxide in the world is the U.S. military. By far is the biggest emitter of carbon dioxide in the world. We have around 1,000 military bases around the world. They just built 3 more new military bases in the Philippines, and they put one in Syria. They built a military base in another country that we are illegally occupying. So, and then of course there's the Ukraine war. So and those Democrats who are out there purporting to be opposed to climate change and fossil fuels are supporting war 100%. So that's a lie. If those people were serious about fighting climate change, they would say, hey, maybe we need to shut down a couple hundred military bases. That would be the first place I would start. That's the last place they're starting. In fact, they're expanding the military. It's all about empire. This is all about more money for the establishment that pulls the strings and pulls the levers of government. Government is no longer there for you. Government is there for, of, and by the corporation and a handful of billionaires, the WEF and the W. Right now, the WHO is supposed to be dictating health policy in the United States, especially on YouTube and Google. There's an unelected body that's been funded. You know what the biggest funder to the WHO is? Bill Gates, China, and then Bill Gates through himself, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and by Gavi, which is a pro-vaccine organization that he also funded. So so it's one billionaire, the richest guy in the world, is dictating policy on YouTube, Google, that surrounds everything from economics to healthcare to climate to everything. It's being a handful of billionaires are running the world right now, and people I need to really wake up to it. And once they do, they will shut things down. And how do you protest this? Well, Barack Obama also, he was the guy. Everybody loved Barack Obama. He was not a departure from George Bush. He was a continuation of George Bush. Barack Obama took us from 2 wars to 7. Barack Obama kicked 5.1 million families, not people, 5.1 million families out of their homes during an economic crisis engineered by Wall Street, while at the same time he made sure the Wall Street bankers got their bonuses. He built those cages Donald Trump put Hispanics in. He deported twice as many Hispanics as Donald Trump did, and he dropped more bombs than George Bush. But right now, they're trying to put Donald Trump in prison as George Bush and Dick Cheney walk free men after everyone knows they ordered a torture program. And Barack Obama was he's constitutionally required to prosecute those people like Dick Cheney and George Bush for torturing people and ordering a torture program, but he didn't. Why? Because he works for the same people. His entire cabinet came from one email from Citigroup. How do I know that? Julian Assange revealed that, which is why they called him a rapist, and he's in jail for the last 12 years. That's why, because he told the truth about the establishment, not because he lied about the establishment. And Barack Obama went on to then make protesting criminal. How did he do that? He repealed habeas corpus. Habeas corpus. So now now you don't have a right to a trial. You don't have a right. And all they have to do is say that you're a terrorist, and they can give you what they call indefinite detention, meaning they can lock you up without a trial, without even charging you. And that's what Barack Obama made happen. He signed that law, and the NDA 1021, he signed it, and he did it on New Year's Eve, so nobody knew about it. So now if you go to protest, like if I want to go protest, they're going to call me, if I want to protest the new oil well, or I want to protest whatever it is, they'll call you you're a climate terrorist, or you're an economic terrorist. And all they have to do is put terrorist at the end, and they can put you in jail indefinitely, lock you up, and silence you. And that is thanks to Barack Obama. And that's why the establishment loves Barack Obama, and that's why they hate everybody else who points that out. So I don't remember what the actual question was, but things are way worse than people actually think.
It's extraordinary when heroes that the culture offers us are so entrenched within systemic corruption of a scale that's difficult to believe, even as you recite it, even though many of the things you relayed are facts that I'm familiar with. Obviously, Obama's role in 2008 and the bailouts, but that habeas corpus, I was unaware of that. And again, the conflation of opposition with terrorism is clearly one of the pieces required to build us towards a dystopia. And sometimes, Jimmy, doing what we do for a living when you're reporting 1 minute on increasing surveillance, the next minute on increasing censorship, the next on money flooding towards a war that you describe as a money laundering organization, the inability of democracy to function, the closing down of dissenting voices. It feels like an immersive experience. You can feel now how the militarization of the police, banning the protest, you can see how the pieces are being laid out to create an inevitable corridor towards indefatigable tyranny till the point where opposition becomes just inconceivable. In addition to that, there are the kind of emotional and spiritual toll that it takes in diminishing the ability even to feel hope, a kind of culture that has very, very low values, that is not able to elevate the best of us, that is slowly excluding
stuff to
principles
family sometimes.
if you're to even
Some of it's
participate
pretty heavy.
Visionary politics, the idea that you might actually offer a real change. Now, we've touched again and again upon the Ukraine conflict, and I know that you have something to explain to us about Stoltenberg, and in particular NATO's invasion of Ukraine, and how we arrived at this point that is very much at odds with how we broadly experience reporting on this conflict. Could you unpack that for us a little, Jimmy?
Well, all I could tell people is that whenever you listen to the government or the corporate media talk about Ukraine war, they always start the story 3/4 of the way in. They never tell you the first 3/4 of the story. They never tell you about, put it this way. Let's say I was standing on a corner and a bus was coming and there was an old lady standing in the street and she was just about to get hit by the bus and I pushed her out of the way. The corporate media would start the story, JimmyDore pushes old lady down on the sidewalk. And that's where they would start that story. And so that's where they start the Ukraine war story. They don't tell you that there was a coup instituted by the CIA of Ukraine, of their democratically elected government. And the CIA funded and got in bed with right-wing Nazis to overthrow a democratically elected government in Ukraine. And then when the Russian-speaking people who identify with Russian ethnically in the eastern part of Ukraine, called the Donbass, didn't want to go along with the coup government that the CIA set up with the Nazis, then they started shelling
Pretty
them.
bad resolution on his video.
So what did they have? They had a peace agreement called the Minsk Accord. They had 2 of those. And guess who abided by it? Russia abided by it. So did the Donbass. So did those people. You know who didn't? Ukraine and NATO. They kept bombing them. They killed something like 16,000 to 18,000 people since they passed the Minsk Accords. And then they ramped up the bombing the month before the invasion to double. They doubled the bombing. So what they were doing was trying to get Putin to do that very thing, which was to invade Ukraine to protect those people. They don't tell you that there was already a war going on when Putin invaded Ukraine to protect the Donbass. They leave all that out. They leave out all that history. They leave out that there already was a peace accord that everybody was following except Ukraine and NATO in the West. And they also leave out the point that there was already a peace agreement in March of 2022 that was going to be signed. And they had to send Boris Johnson to Ukraine as the spokesperson for the West in NATO to kill that. And I don't know what he said exactly to Zelensky, but I can tell you what the Nazis and the leader Nazis in Ukraine have already told Zelensky, that if he does a peace deal, that they will hang him from a tree in town square. So that's what's going on with Zelensky. He's a big money launderer. He knows that if he tells the truth, he's a dead man. So he's playing along, but he's going to find out that as soon as the West is done with him and he's no longer useful, they will probably coup him and then kill him, just like they did with Gaddafi and everybody else who's like, and Saddam Hussein. Everybody, they're always our friend until they're not anymore. And by the way, I just can't get over the fact that people still in the West call Putin a thug. Meanwhile, the United States is occupying a country right next door to Ukraine, Syria, and we're occupying a third of that country. Which third is that? The part that has the oil. And the president of the United States, Donald Trump, when he was asked, hey, why are you leaving troops in Syria? He had a gaffe. And what's a gaffe? A gaffe is when you tell the truth. He told the truth. He said, the reason why I'm leaving those troops in Syria is for the oil. It's our oil and we're taking it. And that's another reason why they had to get rid of Donald Trump, because he accidentally told the truth. He's such a political novice. He didn't realize that the president of the United States can't tell the truth about our foreign policy, which is that we use our military might to invade smaller, more powerless countries and steal their natural resources, which is exactly what our foreign policy has been for the last 50 years. And he revealed it. That's another reason why they had to criminalize him and get rid of him. Things are, again, I'll just end every rant like this, but things are way worse than people think. Why they were so afraid of the truckers, because they set an actual template for how to create change. And how is that? You have to shut down capitalism temporarily to inflict pain on them so that now you have that power. And they couldn't let people see that. So that's why they had to call them white supremacists and to call them Nazis and say they were anti-science. Everything was exactly the backwards. The people who were against the truckers, the people who were against protesters, they're the ones being anti-science. Today I saw an article that Becerra, the head of the United States Human Health and Services, said that he got his vaccine because he doesn't want to infect his mother. Now, we all know that's just a lie. That's anti-science. They're still saying that almost 4 years now into COVID. They're still pushing that lie. And why would they be pushing that lie? It's because they want to sell more vaccines for the people who actually control the country, which is a handful of capitalists.
Whoa! Jimmy, what you described as a solution is immediate disobedience. It's impossible, really, to contemplate how we found ourselves in this situation until you look at how the narrative is controlled on a global level. Here is a story about how Dr. Robert Epstein, capturing how Google manipulates elections, is a phrase that I'm going to use there somewhat carefully. It says that Google influences about 25% of elections throughout the world, including those in the United States. Over 70% of people in America get their news through Google and Facebook. Google controls the lives online, at least, of more than 5 billion people worldwide. Temporarily, I saw Jimmy Dore's world light up before being plunged to
Hang on, I'm going to get another light. I'm losing my light from the window. It's getting dark where I am. Can I put another light over here?
Throw a light on it.
There we go.
Oh, yeah, that's even better. Now you're angelic.
Okay,
now you're effulgent. Jimmy Dore, newly effulgent, beautifully lit up. It's plain that Google are able to
It was the light. It wasn't
direct narratives. How
It looks
else
a lot
would it
better
be
now.
that we would tolerate just a handful of the things that you've outlined? Villainous politicians presented as heroes, corrupt corporations able to profit from crises, energy companies that are able to benefit from an energy crisis.
I agree,
and increase their
JC.
profits, still while receiving subsidies. Illegal wars carried out under the pretense of humanitarianism. All of these things can only occur if information is controlled.
I like Jimmy.
You've returned several times to the truckers precisely because they represent the opportunities that become apparent when people are willing to unite against a common cause. As you say, when disobedience and disruption are presented, new possibilities occur. If the system prohibits the possibility for democratic change, then of course organization out of the system becomes absolutely necessary. One of the defining moments in the trucker protests, as well as their characterization unfairly and libelously as Nazis, was when people that were funding that protest had their funds shut down and stopped, when GoFundMe rediverted those donations. What do you think is the likelihood that CBDCs, as well as new forms of identification and passports that perhaps could be inaugured as health measures, will mean that ultimately each citizen finds themselves in a position where they can be financially controlled through digital currencies, that they can be, their movement can be controlled through passports initially issued as a health measure? What do you feel we ought to be doing when we're presented these ideas as solutions in order to facilitate safety and convenience?
So I didn't realize until I saw a speech by Bobby Kennedy at a Bitcoin convention, I didn't understand any about the digital currency and how dangerous it is. And so Bobby Kennedy talked about how we now live in a world where we can have, and he pointed to the truckers and how they turned off people's finances. And he talked about how we now have latchkey totalitarianism. And that a good antidote to that is Bitcoin. And then it made me realize why the establishment demonizes Bitcoin so much, because it's blockchain and they can't control it, and they can't turn off Bitcoin like they can turn off the CBD. So I think so. I went on immediately. I bought some Bitcoin, right? And we got to do everything we can to fight back, and that's how they're going to control us. They control our wallets. They control our bank accounts. What does that do? So now, if I can't control my bank account, I can't pay my electric bill. I can't pay my internet bill, and that means that I can't be on this show with you. I can't get my message out. I can't travel around the country to do my shows and bring my message to people and have people come together. I can't do any of that. So they've disappeared me. I remember I read books in high school about the establishment disappearing people and how they can do that. Well, that's exactly what they're doing, and they can do it digitally now. And so that's the big scare. People aren't awake to it. You know, I had even people who are independents politically have no idea how important this is. That the digital currency is not your friend. We need to hang on to paper money, and we need to. I think we need to boost Bitcoin, especially, and boost things that are not controlled by any kind of central bank or any kind of government or a handful of capital.
Oh, yeah.
It's democracy in money, Bitcoin. And so I'm big on that now. And I think most people need to get informed about that. And if once people, because most people go, it's like, you ever heard people say, well, I don't care if they read my emails, or I don't care if I don't have anything to hide. I'm not committing any crimes. Yeah, okay.
And I'm not.
Until you actually get upset about something that the government or the establishment is doing, that's when they turn anything you're doing into a crime. And that, as we've seen, look how they turned Donald Trump. Donald Trump says that the election was fraudulent. Well, they spent the first 4 years previous to that saying that Russia had overthrown our. So it doesn't matter what you're doing. If they want to say you're a criminal, they'll make you a criminal. And if they have access to shutting down your finances, that's way easier for them. So again, if they couldn't turn off your finances, if they couldn't censor you, if they couldn't demonetize you and have people look at the Gray Zone, right? The Gray Zone does amazing investigative work that always is against the international security state, and they expose all kinds of crimes of the security state in the Western world. And what what did they do?
No,
GoFundMe took
I mean, you can store your
$95,000 away from them.
Bitcoin
They were doing a fundraiser to hire
on
a full-time, another
special
full-time
hard drive.
reporter. And what did they do? They demonetized them. They wouldn't give them their money back that they actually raised. So this is
It's
how they're
fungible
controlling
from
us.
that. I mean,
And
you still have to
until it happens
use
to
the
them,
internet to trade
I
it.
guess they
pretty
won't
much.
understand it. But if it happens to people that they watch, maybe, or if they happen to people that they like, maybe they'll start to wake up. So they would have done this to me. A lot of people wanted me to run for president, right? And this is before we knew Bobby
should,
Kennedy
but
was
it's
running.
so
People wanted
fucking-
me to run because they wanted me to give a voice to
They're gonna
the
get-
concerns that I'm talking about, and they like that I can speak to people on the left.
They wanna
and the
track
right,
your
and I don't
purchases. They're gonna be
demonize
able
my
to.
neighbor for the problems that the oligarchies
Even
causing
if you
us,
pay
and they
cash.
wanted me to run, and I told what exactly what would have happened to me is the exact
Because
same
they're
thing
tracking
they
you
do
multiple
they did to
ways.
Julian Assange, the exact thing they did to you, they would have done to me, and they would have taken down my channel. So I knew all this, and I knew I could be more effective right here doing this because they would have just disappeared me, and people would have forgot about me, and they would have discredited me. And so I'm going to hang on as long as I can, telling the truth.
I'm
and trying to
saying
bring
take
people
that
together.
ability
But what we
away
really
now.
need is the people to embrace the truckers and people to embrace that form of protest, because that is the only thing that they will feel, and that's the only thing that can stop them is if we shut down capitalism. Not that I'm against people having businesses or making money, but we have to do it
Yeah.
across the board. And
This
we
is
have
the
to put a
commie and
burden on
Jimmy.
them, and it has to make them afraid. Right now, we have to dismantle the corporate media, and we have to dismantle the coalition. When they got rid of the campaign finance laws in the United States, which is what they did, now corporations can spend unlimited on elections, and so they run the country outright now. Before it used to be they used to have to bribe somebody under the table, just like the corporate news used to have to bring on somebody who would give you CIA talking points. Now they just bring the guy on from the CIA as if he's the guy who's supposed to be telling you the truth. They're supposed to be bringing on a guy telling you where the CIA guy is lying. What they do is they bring on the CIA guy to tell you that as if he's telling the truth. And why? Because of Donald Trump. Everything gets filtered through the prism of Donald Trump. And if they can get you to hate Donald Trump, a guy who didn't want to be president in the first place, a guy who, by the way, the establishment loved for decades. Everybody knew Donald Trump's name because they couldn't get his name out of their mouth. He was a special guest on late night talk shows. He was guest host on Saturday Night Live. They gave him his own network television show for 10 years where people from Hollywood would come and bend their knee and call him Mr. Trump, and they gave him Emmy nominations. They all went to each other's weddings. Their kids were all best friends. They all played golf together. They all went to Jeffrey Epstein's island together, but somehow now they hate Donald Trump. I wonder why.
Wow. JimmyDore, what a fantastic advocacy for revolution, for independent thought, for independent analysis, and as always, an incredible.
This is supposed to be only meant for Rumble.
Way
But
of just communicating. Jimmy, just to spend a bit of time with you really lifts my spirit at a time where I plainly need it, and I can't tell you how grateful I am to you for spending time on what looks like a vacation with me. Now, JimmyDore may not be running for president just yet, but he is throughout October appearing at a number of comedy theaters with his fantastic show. You can go to JimmyDore.com to see him in Indianapolis or in Houston, Dallas, Orlando, Boca Raton, San Diego, all over the place. Have a little look on Jimmy's website to go and see Jimmy live. If this is him when he's under surveillance, can you imagine JimmyDore when he is truly free? Jimmy, thank you so much for joining us. It means the world.
My pleasure. Stay strong.
Thank you, JimmyDore, for not holding back and for urging mass disobedience and revolution. JimmyDore's words, not mine. That's all we've got time for on Stay Free today. But coming up this week, we got Glenn Greenwald. You know Glenn Greenwald. Glenn, of course, broke the Snowden story, and Glenn has been telling the truth ever since then. We've got Dr. Robert Epstein on the show talking about how Google apparently shifted 6 million votes to Biden. I know we have to be incredibly cautious about how we say that. And of course, we've got Aaron Mate from Grey Zone. We'll be talking about the war. We'll be talking about mass media corruption.
I'm throwing that on just because when you show some spicy content,
to join our
they send the bots.
Community on Locals. Currently, obviously, it's vital that you support us in the most direct way that you can. We need you now more than ever. Thank you so much for joining us today for our first show back. Join us again tomorrow, God willing. In the meantime, stay awake, stay safe, but more important than any of that, if you can, please stay free.
Okay, so the one I want to show next.
Step back now! Step back!
I can't believe you pulled your gun on my kids, sir.
Policy. Trying to be nice to you, ma'am, okay?
No, it's my dog. You see
Okay,
how
look,
bleeding out of her face.
My dog's bleeding out of mouth.
Welcome back to the Lackluster channel. In July of 2023, at around 7 p.m., Stella, the Albrecht family dog, was hit by a car after chasing a cat into the street. The entire family loaded up to rush to the nearest emergency animal hospital.
We jumped in the car and started trying to get to the ER as fast as we could to try to save her life.
There's no footage of a chase or the alleged speeding and reckless driving, but Officer Navarez of the Bernalillo Police Department wrote in his report that he himself was speeding at 48 miles per hour in a 40-mile-per-hour zone when the family vehicle changed lanes behind him without a signal. He also claimed that the dirt on the road veered up and onto his patrol vehicle because of how fast they were driving. The officer then activated his emergency lights and called over the radio. According to the officer's report, from when he first saw the vehicle to where they pulled over was less than 1,000 meters.
For confirming the vehicle stopping.
Just 30 seconds after activating his lights and sirens, the family pulls over, hoping to be met by a reasonable human that would take into account the emergent situation and allow them to continue on their way, or even provide them an escort. Instead, they meet Officer Jamie Navarez. Body cam footage typically has a 30-second buffer with no audio, but for some reason, out of the 3 files that I was given by the agency, Officer Navarez's video only contained 3/4 of a single second of buffer time, which indicates that someone deleted the first 29¼ seconds of video. But with that portion missing, the officer's body cam begins as he steps out of his cruiser, with his service weapon already drawn and aimed at the family vehicle.
Driver, step out of the vehicle!
3 seconds into the already suspicious video, we find the first lie in the officer's report. It claims that as the officer exited his vehicle, Mr. Albrecht got out looking mad, with his hands clenched. But the video shows that Mr. Albrecht remained in his vehicle with his hands up and fingers fully extended. The incident report, riddled with grammar and spelling errors, also claims, quote, "He was not doing what I asked for brief moments."
Face the fucking away from me! Hands on your head! Step back to the sound of my voice now! Now! Step back! Step back! Step back! Step back! Step fucking back! Now! Step back! Step back! Go to your left! Go to your left! Step back further! Step back! Step back towards me! Step back towards me! Step back! Fucking faster! Get on your knees! Get on your knees! Cover car.
My dog's about to die! Hands up! My dog's about to die! Keep your hands up! Please! My neighbor hit my dog. That's my son and my wife.
Hand up.
Please, sir, my dog's about to die.
So let's figure it out. And when I stop, you can stop your car.
Sir, my dog's breathing out its mouth. Okay.
You stop when we fucking stop you.
Dude, you just scared the shit out of us.
Hey, Ross Khan.
Stop the fucking car.
You're pulling a gun on my baby.
Then stop the fucking car. Do you not understand when these go on, you stop, you pull over?
I was trying to tell you, sir.
Shut up. You could pull over and tell me my dog's dying. We're trying to get to a veterinarian. Could you not?
Other officers take Mr. Albrecht's son into custody and speak to his wife.
Just listen, bud. Just listen, okay? Come to me. My dog's gonna die. You what?
My dog's gonna die. Look at his face, sir. Look.
Hey, 1 second. 1 second, man. Okay?
My dog is gonna die.
Just 1 second. I understand this is just
My
get
dog,
with me.
see her face? She's going to die. She got hit by a car.
Okay, I understand that, man.
Okay, so when she dies, who am I suing?
Just relax. Okay? Trying to be nice to you, ma'am, okay?
You're nice. My dog, you see her bleeding out of her face.
Ma'am, at the end of the day, you still have to follow traffic rules. Okay?
I'm not trying to. Can I get out and run to the vet?
Just bear with me, ma'am. I'm not the officer in charge. I just got here.
Jesus Christ,
okay?
people. Oh, no. This is going to be blasted on the news.
And that's fine. Go for it.
Look at my dog. My dog's bleeding out of the face. And they're holding us on the side of the road. She's about to die.
Get her out of here. You're going to...
She's
Okay. We're trying to get you out of here. Okay.
Can I go run my driver's license? I have no words. I need to get to that vet.
Listen to me. He's getting out of handcuffs right now so we can get you out of here. What's your social?
No, wait, that's not Ross Khan.
Here's my driver's
No,
license,
okay.
please.
22 then. Go on to 22 though.
All the units responding to 22.
I can't believe sir.
Christ, man.
Hey, man.
What is it?
So he's smirking at minor, but the dog has blood all over his mouth. Okay. Just hit my dog. Okay, relax. Stop talking so we can get you out of here, okay? Where's your driver's license at? Where's your driver's license at?
I don't even have it. We ran out of the house.
Social. Let's get you out of here.
To further the potential victimization of the family,
Denise
the
Lynn, though.
agency not only released their names, address, and phone numbers, they also failed to redact their social security numbers from the video.
I can't believe you pulled your gun on my kids, sir.
It's policy.
Oh, yeah, I hear you.
When the vehicle's not
You have
stopping,
your lapel cam on?
it is on.
Your car on?
It's all on, buddy.
You might
It's
want
all.
to charge me because I'm going to press charges.
You can't, but okay.
I can.
That's fine.
That was totally unnecessary.
All right. Hold on.
No sign of a weapon?
Really?
Really?
Get in the car.
I hear you.
Hey, Mike.
I know what you want to do.
After speaking with Mrs. Albrecht, the officer in charge tells Navarez to release the family.
Give your camera on.
Yeah.
Navarro.
Go ahead and get back in the vehicle.
Scott's complaining already.
That's okay. Let him get out of here. If he wants to complain. Where's he at? Where's he at? Brandon, get him. Yeah, get him out. All responding units, go ahead and downgrade. Responding units, go ahead and downgrade.
Place that hand on your head, please. No, I don't know. Place this hand on your head, though. That's what I'm asking.
You're something else.
You're something else, sir.
Do you want to go with us for failure to pull over, or do you want to get out of here?
No,
Which one do you want to do?
Just let him do his thing. He thinks he knows what's up.
It's not that. That was unnecessary.
Good luck with your dog.
Scared the shit out of my family.
The next time, stop.
You're going to drive normal.
After their release, Navarez heads to his supervisor's vehicle to speak to him. On the way, he attempts to mute his mic, but his attempt fails.
Okay.
Fucking bitch. So he's gonna complain. He didn't stop, but well, yeah. So I did a felony stop on him because he wasn't stopping when he stopped. Once we found out his dog was injured and he was trying to get to the veterinarian, we tried that idea and let him go. Being a dickhead.
Okay.
All right.
Mr. Albrecht was not issued a citation and made it to the vet, but unfortunately, Stella did not survive. Upon learning about the incident, KRQE attempted to contact the chief but never heard back. The department's Facebook and Twitter says nothing about the incident, nor does their website, but the department mission statement is available, where it says that they serve with the highest standards of integrity and ethics, and that they will ensure that professional, effective, and efficient law enforcement services are provided for the town by utilizing accepted law enforcement techniques and practices. Do you think that this was acceptable, effective, and professional?
My dog's breathing out its mouth.
I think we might have different standards for things. The ACLU is preparing a lawsuit on the family's behalf, so look out for that update, and I'll be sure to let you know if the department does the right thing for once and issues a dismissal and an apology. But in the meantime, be sure to check out one of these other videos on screen.
357. Always muted when the starts.
Hello, la la la. Hello. Holy guacamole is there an enormous amount of news today. I actually had a hard time. Yeah, we're doing the voice, guys. I had a hard time like picking which topics we were going to talk about. Yo, Cam, thank you for coming in hot. Very generous. Rumble Rant had to come back for the others. Brilliantly done. Yeah, there's a new, in case you all don't know, like they work on a new video intro every week. Every day would be like too much, you know? Casually, so it must be nice to be the boss. Hey, man, you got to pay there's a cost of being the boss, though. How was everyone's weekend? Sorry, I'm a little behind. I'm eating my lunch, which is a paleo meat stick. Following up what was a train wreck of a weekend health-wise for me. Very, very, very bad decisions every day. But it's important. People do fall off the wagon. It's important just to get back.
Thank you, Russ.
Pac-Man, how about that come from behind victory for the Packers yesterday? Dude, I was going berserk. It was like getting kicked in the groin for 2 hours and 40 minutes. And then, like, I don't have any illusions around the Green Bay Packers being a great team for a while. Once they have the salary cap in like 2 years, they'll be able to go sign some people, which I think will be good. I got to make sure that I didn't have to do a sponsor read on this. What does the date say? The 25th? Oh, we've got Goldco. Maybe we'll just skip that today. We'll skip it today. We'll do it tomorrow. A pound of bacon, 5 eggs, and 4 pieces of toast for dinner last night. Nice.
Oh, I do have the tab opened. We can listen to him before he starts bringing up stuff.
Let's get to work, huh?
Oh,
wow, RussellBrand came back with a vengeance, didn't he?
Eruption. We'll be talking about whatever
he's still
you
live.
want, especially if you click the red button now to join our Awakened Wonders community on Locals. Currently, obviously, it's vital that you support us in the most direct way that you
85,000
can.
85,000 viewers.
More than ever. Thank you so much for joining us today for our first show back. Join us again tomorrow, God willing. In the meantime,
85,000. Good news on the connection front too, friends. It looks like I'm going to be able to get. I have at least they took my money. Spectrum cable internet out here after paying 22,000 U.S. American dollar dues to.
This is how we're doing. Don't look good. You went ahead. Pick it.
And then my internet will be $150 after that. So after I retire, after my my cancellation and removal from the internet, I'll still be able to afford internet.
Yeah, don't be a stranger for sure. I'm just not sure.
How many old PCs sitting in garages and stores?
Remember her having a lot more subs. This account that she's on right now only has 55 subs.
That has spent millions of dollars looking for his old PC because it had like $100 million in Bitcoin on it or something like that.
I mean, good words.
Welcome
and all
in,
that.
Russell viewers. I wanted to talk about, we got other non-Russell stuff, but I did want to talk about this video that he put out, which I thought, what a great moment for Rumble. Yeah, okay, he's got to deal with Rumble, but he didn't have to go he didn't have to go so ham supporting Rumble. So he puts out this video. I think the official video has 175,000 likes. 175,000 likes. I don't know how many views that really is because YouTube views is bullshit. It's not actual views. It's like, you know, if 75,000 people liked it, it's probably, I don't know, 2x, 3x or something like that. And so he puts out this video where, I mean, it's short enough. I'll just play it.
Obviously, it's been an extraordinary and distressing week, and I thank you very much for your support and for questioning the information that you've been presented with. By now, you're probably aware that the British government have asked big tech platforms to censor our online content, and that some online platforms have complied with that request. What you may not know is that this happens in the context of the Online Safety Bill, which is a piece of UK legislation that grants sweeping surveillance and censorship powers, and it's a law that has already been passed. I also don't imagine you've heard of the Trusted News Initiative. Now, as is often the case when a word like trusted is used as part of an acronym to describe an unelected body, trust is the last thing you should be offering. The Trusted News Initiative is a collaboration between big tech and legacy media organizations to target, control, choke, and shut down independent media organizations like this one. We'll be talking about that on our show on Monday on Rumble. But just to give you an idea of what the TNI is, this is a quote from one of their spokespeople. Because the actual real rivalry now is not between the BBC and CNN globally, it's actually between all trusted news providers and digital platforms. It's clear that these organizations collaborate in constructing narratives, whether that's around the war or the pandemic, and of course there are other examples. And it's very clear to me that we have to be very, very cautious indeed. That's why I'm asking you to follow me on Rumble.
Right there, Elon Musk got salty. So first of all, Russell has a contract.
All right, I didn't drop his link.
An exclusive
I'm
contract.
bad about it.
Why Elon thought
raping his content
that he would be like shilling for Twitter/X is absurd.
Rumble have made a clear commitment to free speech, and Rumble is the primary platform that we will be streaming from. We'll be back this Monday, and as usual, we'll be talking about...
So he does a nice little advertisement.
We'll be talking about the role of Big Pharma and how Big Pharma have been able to influence government policy around the world and how they've been able to evade due liability and necessary scrutiny. How they've been able to
it's crazy when
investigation, but perhaps ought we due them.
Sorry, I just saw your comment
about media corruption and censorship.
I had to go pie.
So please follow me on Rumble because that's the only way that we can keep our voice. You can go to RB.
Now, I'm pretty sure that he gained, like, I think he had, oh, shout out to all the support he's getting too. He had like 1.4 million when this started on Rumble. Now he has 1.61 million. So he gained 210,000 subscribers, which is, you know, awesome. But what I thought was cringe and weird is that Elon got butthurt and said, it's rather disappointing that he's exclusively pushing Rumble when X has supported free speech just as much. Has it, though? Has it,
True.
though?
My personal account on X is still...
I don't believe it has. Owen Schroyer, banned for off-platform behavior. Alex Jones,
Because I got hacked
banned
and a
because
Bitcoin company
Elon had a
posted 2
stillborn baby,
advertisements.
apparently. Milo Yiannopoulos, banned. Gavin McInnes, banned.
Is that the real Roscon,
though?
though?
The list goes on and on. You know, and like...
That person has 55 subs.
Doesn't X also have...
And no content.
Literal... Like a literal program called Lawful But Awful shadow banning policy where they openly admit that they shadow ban content?
I don't know if it's worse.
Like,
but
they openly admit, bros, that they shadow ban content. So it's like, I don't know if Elon just has no idea what's going on.
she did? Okay.
People are still shadow banned.
Yeah,
people are still banned.
Sorry.
People are still perma-banned. People are still having to delete various posts because, you know, someone
that's your picture,
flagged them and got offended. Am I on truth? Yes, I am on truth. And then, then Elon got crushed. Robert Barnes, Rumble is better than X. Example, Owen Schroyer still denied his account. While a fake account, Owen Schroyer's, is verified, misleads people regularly, defames people daily. Oh, why do they follow me? So this is a fake account. Guess what?
Oh, I know Ross.
Weirdo.
I don't know if that. I didn't know.
Dan
if that was
Bongino. This isn't a zero-sum game.
Jumped,
I own a
and
good chunk of
then
Rumble,
I
and
actually
spoken
looked at
with
the channel.
to your
Like, oh,
defense
wait,
many
I didn't know
times.
about all that
I've
though.
also promoted Tucker's show, which is on X daily. X has supported free speech. No, they haven't. Alex Jones, Adam Krigler, Alex Jones, Camelot 331 aren't free here. Sorry, but this response is ratio worthy. I mean, everybody. It's rare that Elon gets ratioed, but that's absolutely happened here. In fairness, Elon, you still have Alex Jones and Owen Schroyer banned from X for off-platform conduct. X is great. Rumble is the best. Laura Loomer, why be disappointed? Rumble Video allows for everyone to monetize equally and doesn't have a lawful but awful list like X does. So RussellBrand has a point. You're going to have to take this up with Linda Yaccarino, your CEO, because her policies are anti-free speech. I mean, like, there's a whole slew of people in here that are pointing out. Laura Loomer again. Alex Jones is on Rumble. He's still banned on X. Tommy Robinson is on Rumble. He's still banned on X. Please bring them back. Liberty Lockdown. Elon, you've banned a lot of accounts. You've improved the TOS, but you're not on the level of Rumble in terms of...
Love this shit.
I hope you will be soon. I'd like to have two platforms.
You have more time to watch it.
And that's what I agree. You know, like, I agree that it's not... Like, it's not... It doesn't have to be either or. I want them both to be more free speech. But, you know, a primary difference is that under Elon Musk, Rumble has complied with 83% of government lockdown, government censorship requests. 80.
He's talking about X. You mean he said Rumble there?
France told Rumble to censor content. I forget which content it was. Oh, they wanted them to ban RT, I think. Rumble told them to get bent and just let France is not available. Rumble's no longer available in France. That's actually how you respond and support free speech. Elon just says he does. Elon's worried about making money, and he's still very, very dependent on advertisers. And he knows, like, if he brought back Alex Jones, then that would be it. Now he's happy to bring back Trump because it's low risk. It's extremely low risk. I meant X. Sorry, yeah. Rumble is, you know, actually, you know, when the UK government sent Rumble a letter and said, "Hey, you need to ban this guy, or you need to demonetize him." They told the United Kingdom government to get bent. X complied, not Rumble complied. Rumble did not. I'm disappointed you two doing just muting people for what? I only mute people because they get annoying to me. I now have I have an open policy now of blocking, unfollowing, or muting anybody on Twitter who does the stupid ass. Would you ride a roller coaster with Elon Musk? Or it's like a hot chick with a gun, and they're like, "Oh, what if she shows up to your first date like this? What would you do?" You're banned. You're banned from my timeline. You're blocked. You're muted. That's it. I can't do it with these lame ass engagement farmers on Twitter. It's monetization on Twitter has ruined it for me. There's still literally the lowest tier content, and I'll see the same stuff posted 100 times by the same weirdos, and it's getting 80, 100,000 likes. I'm not participating in that. No chance, no shot. You can engagement farm from idiots. That's fine, but I don't want that on my timeline. There's a lot of news today. Hold on one second. I gotta let my dog out. Who let my dog out?
He's actually gone for a couple minutes.
How this dude keeps getting...
This is hilarious.
I'm back. Let's talk about Neil deGrasse Tyson. I don't really understand
Is that fast? Not fast
how
enough.
this dude
he pauses
keeps
so much.
getting Like, I don't know. Is there something inherent about being a science guy that makes you're very well trained? I just didn't have time to I was running a little late, so I didn't have time to let him out, and I knew I was going to be in my office for a couple hours, so I wanted to let him out. It's like Neil deGrasse Tyson and Bill Nye are both the same, like, leftoid pushing this. Like, there's absolutely no reason that Neil deGrasse Tyson has to talk about gender ideology, but he still does. You know? Like, I don't understand why. So the boys over at Trigonometry, I'm always constantly impressed with their ability to get good guests, or, you know, popular guests anyway. Had Neil deGrasse Tyson on their show, and what I thought was pretty amazing is that the way they so calmly, maybe it's, you know, from either from the UK or something, and that's why, but like, the idea that Neil deGrasse Tyson, who is an astrophysicist, continues to insert himself into gender ideology conversations is weird. If you remember Bill Nye's weird show, I don't know if you remember this, but no. Bill Nye had a song called My Sex Junk. Bill Nye had a show called Bill Nye Saves the World.
So, you guys...
Yeah, they're on the counter.
I'm sure that this show is no longer on the
Snack
air.
time at 8.
But I'm
they
not
just
exactly
ate dinner.
sure.
This next thing I feel is very special. This is a
super
cool
special.
little segment. You know this woman from Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. Please give it up for Rachel Bloom.
Nobody knows. Nobody knows who this person is. And then they go on to sing very poorly.
This world of ours is full of choice, but must I choose between only John or Joyce? All my options only hard or moist. My vagina has its own voice.
Okay. Again, this is Bill Nye. Has this Hollywood weirdo on. And look at him up here, like,
On it, drag queen, drag king, just do what feels right. You're tall, pansexual, flirty with right.
I don't see even my dog doesn't like that. He's having a, this is a few years back, but I mean, this is the science community now. So in the recent interview now with the boys over at Trigonometry, you have you should watch the whole video that they did, because I thought, you know, it's extremely good. It's called, you know, Did We Lose Trust in Science? But what's interesting is this clip.
The XXXY chromosomes are insufficient, because when we wake up in the morning, we exaggerate whatever feature we want to portray the gender of our choice. Suppose no matter my chromosomes, today I feel 80% of style and trends and what the beauty industrial complex wants you to see.
The beauty industrial complex. I mean, it's called, you know, you can have a personality. A man can wear a dress, and that's what they wear and what they do, but they don't. That does not make them a female. And this is, you know, again, Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah, Anna puts a lot of good tweets up on it.
Gender, then maybe some people want to be fluid within that gender identify. So they'll wear a skirt, but maybe have a beard, or they'll mix and match that in whatever way you want. Sorry. I'm not. Wait, I'm almost done.
He's getting very angry.
So, if a person using the tools of the beauty industrial complex wants to mix and match this, and they are expressing their freedom in a free country to do so, why is your job to tell them not to? That's my only point. And so I'm speaking of gender expression and the freedom to do so. And if you want to restrict that,
he's like, he won't let them talk. You can see the look on his face. He actually looks angry. Like, he looks genuinely angry. He's like, believe me, this is the truth.
Then what country are you living in?
Hold on. So first of all, I don't know a single person, and we've talked to trans people on the show. We have trans employees at Trigonometry. We've spoken to all sorts of people about this issue. I do not know a single person who wants to prevent people from dressing how they want, or behaving how they want, or choosing any name that they want. However, the problem is,
so you don't, but you know such people are out there.
I'm sure such people exist in the same way that there are people who believe that the Earth is flat and so on, but they're a tiny minority.
They exist.
It is
I don't know
not
how tiny they are, given the biology.
Fair point. However, what I would say is that the conversation in the public consciousness has become prominent not between people who want to defend the right of anyone to dress how they want and the people who want to prevent that. The reason the conversation has become an issue is that we assign and allow certain privileges to people based on their sex. If you are female, you get to go to places that only other females are in, like changing rooms and toilets and so on. If you are female, you get to compete only with people of your sex, because females are at a disadvantage in physical competition to males in almost every sport. In other words, we carve out
he
certain
gets
areas
really
where
mad.
Your sex matters tremendously, even though we may respect your right everywhere else to believe that you are whatever you are, to dress however you are, etc. So your claim that today you woke up and put lipstick on and grew your hair out long and tweezed out your mustache and whatever, and therefore you are female, has an impact on other people in certain contexts in which that is a problem.
You gave only 2 contexts. Do you have others?
Sorry, I wasn't finished. And in those contexts, it is essential, people would argue, to protect women from unfair competition and from various risks for which female-only spaces already exist.
Yeah, he'll be around.
Right.
It's not out of...
So Neil deGrasse Tyson at some point here has asserted that, well, gender doesn't matter. You can dress like whatever you want. You can wear a dress, do this and that. That's a straw man, which is what he constantly pointed out, is that like that's not what they're saying. And you can definitely tell that Neil deGrasse Tyson is not a big agree that he is not listening.
Do you have more than those 2 examples? And I'll address each of those in turn.
Well, it's 2 is not enough. I need you to have 20. The shade's down, so Huck's just guessing.
But you have more than those 2. Probably not. Okay. So I'll address those 2 examples directly. I'll address them.
Sports is very important.
I said that.
Female sports.
She's got some good.
Come here. Thank you. You're just guessing. Oh, he's not guessing. It's mail time. Mail time. Yep. Mail guy was 9 minutes early today. Usually gets here like right at 1. He's gone now. Thank you, Hucky, for protecting. Yeah. Thank you for protecting. Oh, I know. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for protecting me. So Neil's getting very aggressive. He's very clearly not listening here. He's just like, I want to push my ideology. I want to push my pre-approved talking points.
I remember. So, but you don't seem to have a third example. So, and even if you do, we presume that would be a very distant third compared to those 2 cases. Right.
No, there's a third one I can give you very easily. In this country, for politics, we have female-only shortlists for positions in Parliament. Therefore,
I didn't know about that. That's interesting. Okay.
Well, that's another example. I can give you more. So, female-only shortlists, there are certain targets within corporations for diversity targets to have a certain number of women on the board. Therefore, when you make a claim that you are female, you are attempting, whether intentionally or not, to insert yourself into categories that are deliberately designed to protect women's interests. That is the concern that people have. So there's 4 examples for you.
Okay, sure. So it's interesting about the problem. I have to look into that to find out what is it try to ensure the representation of women? Is that the goal? Yeah, okay, fine. So it's a perfectly noble cause there.
No, it isn't.
So about personal changing spaces, okay? That's a solvable problem, of course. And we basically have accomplished that here in Manhattan, where I live. Practically all bathrooms are either multi-gender, or solo bathrooms, so only one person at a time, or you walk into a space and there's stalls that are closed off within.
Yeah, this isn't a solution. This is 99% of the rest of the world having to deal with being inconvenienced and and businesses having to spend a lot of money to implement this solution to accommodate 6 or 7 people.
You exit the stall and you come to a communal sink. Okay,
yeah. So now you're still in a vulnerable position with biological men in the changing room. So this is bunk. That's not a solution.
It's a solvable problem where everyone has a private space rather than for tier and an entrance there. And this entrance says girls. And this entrance says boys. It's like, what the fuck? What?
Whoa, Neil.
What? You separate them just to enter the school? I can look back on that and say that was ridiculous. You guys, what were you thinking? But back then, I'm sure it made complete sense. They're going to send the girls through that entrance and
no, it's not
wall,
exactly dirty.
More private. And now those urinals have little, small but real dividers. So
I mean, I love this astrophysical.
So there aren't solutions to the privacy
commentary
problem,
that he does.
Actually, be unfair for you to wrestle someone who's also 190 pounds, but
let me work my way there. Let me just work my way there because you are. I respect how active your brain is, but I thought about all this and just allow.
He's very angry. Like the whole, it's a complete meltdown. And shout out to the Trigonometry boys. This is somebody here. Detransitioner slams Neil deGrasse Tyson's defense of gender ideology. Doesn't take a degree in astrophysics. Tyson, who claimed in his video that XX and XY chromosomes were insufficient to discuss gender expression. Prominent detransitioner has spoken out on Tuesday. Self-described former trans kid Chloe Cole posted a video on social media where she broke down Tyson's various arguments about the intricacies of gender and human biology. I watched Neil flail around trying to describe gender as a spectrum and decided to refute some of his points in a short video. In the original video, Tyson claimed that XX and XY chromosomes are insufficient because people exaggerate features that help portray the gender of choice. In response to that statement, Cole said people should stop confusing basic biology with cosmetics. I don't wear makeup most days. If I leave the house without makeup on, does that make me 70% male? I mean, this guy is like, Neil deGrasse Tyson might be the dumbest, smartest person on the planet. I don't know why he's getting involved in the gender debate. He should probably stick to, astrophysics. He's an interesting guy who talks about that. But on social justice issues, he's just a moron. And I think that ultimately there must be some reason why he's pandering this. Maybe it gets him a new TV show. Maybe it gets him a new book deal. I don't know, but he looks like a moron, and he keeps doubling and tripling down on it. Like, I don't understand why Neil deGrasse Tyson has anything to say about gender spectrum. It's not even in his like wheelhouse. You know what I mean? He's an astrophysicist. He has no formal training on biology. no formal training on physiology, or doesn't have a medical degree. Sami says, isn't Neil deGrasse Tyson the director of the Hayden Planetarium? HP gets grants from governments and government funding. Seems like awards for ESG. So basically, this is a please give me money dance for science funding. Yeah, you're probably not wrong. You're probably not wrong. So there seems to be a pretty wild pushback against Rumble going on right now. It's obviously, okay, how do I say this? Okay. Look, I've always said, I don't care where you watch me. I'm just glad that you tune in. If you're watching on Rumble, great. If you're watching on YouTube, great. If you're watching on BitChute or Odyssey, great. Twitter, great. Gab, True Social, Minds, great, great, great. I'm just glad to be able to talk to you and engage in a conversation with you daily. Now, Rumble, however, in this particular case, is under what is very clearly an orchestrated attack from, well, people like Nandini Jammy and other corporate media. And they're going after their advertisers. We saw, Burger King allegedly drop Rumble.
Bill Nye has
I don't
no
know. Like, again,
science
you're watching, you may
degrees.
not know this for, you may not be able to weigh in on this. But as, somebody who watches videos on Rumble and have for years, I have literally never once seen a Burger King ad. Yet there was some sort of, major headlines over the weekend that Burger King had pulled ads from Rumble. This is an op. This is, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Rumble had bought, or Burger King had bought like one ad one time somewhere, right? But it's an op. They're trying to make it seem like it's a big deal. So this loser, Nandini Jammy, who's gone after Tim Pool and, all sorts of other people, who runs a company called Police My Ads or something like that. Check My Ads HQ, right? It's her entire career. I mean, this is a really sad existence, but it is her entire career to police, to whine and complain to brands should they dare to sponsor the wrong type of person. Now, I can be fairly certain that Nandini Jammy has never contacted Nike to complain about some groomer, hypothetically, on TikTok getting ads, right? We know that these are one direction, right? So Nandini runs this Check My Ads. She went after Tim Pool. I think she did get some people to pull ads. I'm not totally sure. But that's why, that's why Tim Pool has his, paid membership thing. That's why, when I'm on Rumble, I like to encourage people. There's a little join button down below the video. You click that and it opens up an option to support, which is supporting me on locals. It's $5 a month or whatever, but it goes miles and miles and miles, and it helps insulate against that kind of thing. So Dan Bongino puts, this is why the Soros stooge is so bitter. We've revealed her support for predators. Receipts. She's worried. She said, not even 9 o'clock a.m. Eastern, and our man is stressed. Rise and shine, Dan. We're going to make your life hell. What? Antifa-loving Nandini Jammy argued for milder punishments for convicted creepers, we'll say.
Yes,
activist Nandini Jammy, known for her deplatforming efforts
yeah,
against
that's true. You can't make NASA any more
offenders
woke than it already
are
is.
too harsh for young offenders.
Ever.
Newly unearthed blog post revealed.
There's only year-old feeds on the NASA channel on Roku. People still interviewing each other with masks on.
In a writer for the National Crime Prevention Council, where she interned, Nandini complained about the eternal sentence for young offenders. So what she's saying is, if you're 15 and you spend the night with an 8-year-old, you shouldn't have to be on the list for your whole life. That's who this person. And of course, she has now blocked Dan Bongino because he revealed the truth. She wrote, remarking that, of course, juvenile offenders aren't toddlers, and they generally know what they're doing is wrong. However, a number of things should be considered before we give them a de facto life sentence by listing them on the internet, along with other knowing malicious adults. So if you're 12, 13, 14, and you spend the night with an 8-year-old or a 5-year-old or a 4-year-old, you should have a lighter sentence. I'm sure that's definitely not behavior. That's just probably a mistake, right? They just didn't know. While one might be inclined to assume that Nandini, like many others who oppose overly pernicious offender laws that criminalize, two teenagers hooking up, for example, Nandini goes much further than that, citing a rare case involving a 4th grader. She wrote, someone like Johnny, however, who was referred to that by a pseudonym, may be branded for life. I mean, would you give a 14? I mean, imagine writing an article in favor of chomos. That's who's, and then you look at all of these. I don't know if Dan, I need to have Dan on for sure. You see, Google is actively trying the shadow State Department. You're right. Google. Why is Google colluding with 2 pervs, Claire Atkin and Nandini Jammy, to censor people for revealing predators? teenagers, if you want to read a book that is banned in your school library because it features spicy identity as prominent subject, DM me and I will buy it and order it for you for a safe location. You see, Nandini Jammy aligns with another scandal-plagued Lincoln Project, and then she blocked him. I mean, this is all an op. It's so easy to predict and see. And look at this, the Independent writes, Inside Rumble, the YouTube alternative beloved by Russell Brand and the Trumps. Bro, I like Rumble, and I'm neither one of them. There's sports shows on Rumble. There's crypto shows on Rumble. Are there some far-right weirdos on this platform? Yes, there are. And that is the price of defending free speech. You're going to get some weirdos, and they have every right, in my opinion, to exist and have their own opinions. But the way the media works is, never mind that Dan Bongino's raking in 80,000 live viewers. Crowder's probably doing 50, 60,000 live viewers. All this stuff. They're worried about some dude, some dork who's got like 2,000 followers and has some wild conspiracy theories. You know what I mean? Like, and by the way, again, they should be allowed to have those theories, but that's not the way the media works. As of 2022, the video sharing platform, effectively an alternative YouTube, reported 78 million users globally. That's what they're afraid of. Brand has been one of those users for just over a year. On Rumble, he has 1.4 million followers, or quote, awakening wonders, as he oddly calls them. It's somewhat paltry compared to his 6.63 million on YouTube, but not insubstantial by any means. Paltry, 1.4 million subscribers on a brand new platform is not paltry. And let it be known today, while Russell Brand was streaming live on Rumble, I believe he was closing in on 90,000 live viewers compared to just 13,000 live viewers on YouTube, because YouTube shadow bans, and once they demonetize a creator, you're not finding anybody anymore. They have no incentive to show people ads because they're not making any money on it. Brand joined Rumble in September last year after receiving repeated warnings from YouTube over his mostly COOF-related videos. Rumble, he claimed, was a better platform for content as it advertises looser restrictions and steadfast resist censorship ethos. The move looked like a logical next step for Brand, whose journey from the naughty British TV dating to online fringe personality have been ongoing. I wouldn't say he's fringe. I bet you he gets more views a month than most CNN hosts. I bet you he gets more views a month than most Fox News hosts. I bet you he gets more views than anybody who works at The Independent, anybody who works at The Guardian, anybody who works at any website. But their firms pull ads from Rumble platform over Russell Brand videos. Again, this is literal like fake news. Burger King, and HelloFresh.
I've never seen a Burger King ad
of claims about the comedian. I can't tell you if I've ever seen an ad from any of these companies. Burger King in particular, I have definitely never seen an ad, and I've never seen somebody do an ad read for Burger King. In fact, I've never even seen one. Never even seen one on YouTube. I mean, I've seen Burger King ads on YouTube, of course. So, I mean, you have all these, mainstream media outlets. They pick Trump, Alex, Brand, and Tate. I don't care if you don't agree with their opinions. I'm glad that they have a platform that won't ban them because the media has a meltdown about it. And what's going to happen is these hit pieces, these, attacks are going to get way worse in the next 6 months. Because Rumble is going to be where it's going to draw tens of millions of new users probably during the election cycle, because you can't find any real information on YouTube. It's all buried underneath CNN and Fox News. Nobody trusts those people anymore. Now, not being Fox News, not being CNN does not inherently mean you are correct, but nobody trusts them.
I can't remember the last time I was.
These losers like Nandini, right? Again, this is somebody who gets 200 likes on a tweet. 180.
I literally get a free. I could get a free Whopper a week through my phone company. They send me a coupon for a free Whopper a week, and I think the last time I went was when I used it like 3 years ago.
I mean, this is somebody with no power. Imagine waking up every morning, and this is your life. When does this cross line into defamation? Do you think you might have to sue him? We feel a better use of our time would be to simply put him out of business. Talking about Dan Bongino. Put him out of business. Pretty sure this loser hasn't really had many big wins. She's gotten a few advertisers to drop people from like Tim and other people. But yeah, these people don't have as much power now as they used to, because you have freer speech places like X, BitChute, Odyssey, Rumble. There's lots of options, and people are looking for them. And that's what makes traditional media so scared. Have you heard about the NVIDIA scandal? No, what's going on with NVIDIA? I'm unaware.
Yeah, My stomach gets turned.
The Great Nandini. That's actually pretty good, though.
Except for McDonald's breakfast. I love it. And fries.
I'm checking on NVIDIA.
He loses his shit here. Oh, no.
Oh, the Hollywood strike is over. You know, I will say this. Of course, UK police say it's received a number of allegations of sexual assault in wake of Channel 4's new investigation. Why are these, like... What in the hell is going on here? Why is even, like, the Daily Mail, which is generally more conservative... they're afraid. That's really... Yeah, back to the scheduled shitty programs. And I'll tell you this much, though, friends. I'm nothing if I'm not honest with my viewers, okay? This writer strike has hurt my channel a lot. You know, revenue down probably. This isn't a shill. I'm just being honest. You know, 30% every month because there's less like, you know, woke Hollywood stuff to dunk on. And that's such a big part of my business. And it has sucked. So part of me is like, okay, the strike's over. Good. I'm only human. But that's also why, like, I want to continue. That's why I'm pushing so hard on these live streams on Rumble and getting people to back me on locals. I don't want that to ever happen again. You know, for 4 months, you know, after paying my employees, there wasn't much left. And I was like, I don't want to ever have to lay people off. I don't ever want to have to, like, a stupid Hollywood strike. And, you know, Ultra Chase writes, are you reticent to get more political? Yes, I am. Because I've always kind of prided myself as being, you know, kind of like a safer channel for people to go who just, you know, maybe don't, you know, agree with certain pop culture crap, but they're not looking for like hyper political content. With the run up to the election, I feel like there's going to be some call for that from my existing viewers. Thanks, BK. But probably around, you know, 2024, I'll probably start experimenting with not dropping any of my additional content, but maybe dedicating one video a day to, you know, kind of being a little more political. I pride myself to being milquetoast.
Oh, I mean, that's a lot of his short videos. That's what they are. These, you know, dunking on him. You know, it gives him content. You know, he's pretty blunt about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of channels with like blowhard politics guys out there, and I don't think I can really separate myself. Like, I couldn't do it better than Tim. I couldn't do it better than Dan Bongino. I couldn't do it better than Crowder. I couldn't do it. Like, it's just not who I am, you know? Harry Sisson's claim bomb threat over the weekend. No, I didn't. DeFranco style, maybe a DeFranco style video that sums up maybe the political style, like the politics of the day, like Today in Politics, and it's like a different style show, but it's on the same channel. Because nobody's going to unsubscribe over it, you know? They're just not going to necessarily watch the hard politics stuff. But I don't know. We'll see.
He had a channel pretty much for that. It was called Midwestly. Yeah.
You know.
I must have stepped away.
But I will say, I do. Last week was really good. We had a lot of new customers over at CoffeeBrand Coffee, so I'm thankful for that. You know, I'll put the link here. CoffeeBrand Coffee is my company. We're not a dropshipping organization. I'm personally involved in every single flavor decision. We roast our own beans. We grind our own beans. You know, all the promotions, all that stuff. And it's a really strong way to support the channel. If you're in the United States and you like coffee, tea, or cocoa, all I could ask to take a look. Promo code TheQuartering, and you can save off it. We have K-Cups, organic teas. These are all, like, we have our own facility. We're not like some, you know, YouTuber.
Or promo code inDOCtriNATION.
I really work hard on making sure.
I get a little bit of it, and he still makes money too.
You know, I've started pressing more on is getting people to hit this join button below the video. All I ever ask is that you follow the channel, which is the best. Just so I like to see you on my shows, you know. But if you're ever in a position to, you could click this join button and then click support. It'll take you to locals. It's like $5 a month. It goes a long way. It really does.
What is that? Watching the watchers,
supporting, you know, offsetting all the stuff.
Oh, and I missed. Oh, no, wait, he doesn't come on until 6. Damn, it's still. It seems dark in here, doesn't it?
I know Tim kind of already touched on this, but I think I can do.
It's been dreary all day. We're finally getting effects from that shit.
Yeah, thank you. T-Brand Tea thoughts.
Hurricane.
I have over a
really
dozen
drove
all organic loosely.
And rain.
They sell pretty well.
2 days, basically. It's just misting all day here today.
Yes. Burger King. Everybody loves the Burger King. It's you know, I got to admit, back in the day, a Whopper, no lettuce, no tomato, no onion, just cheese and ketchup, is a solid burger. Now, not so much. They've kind of become a joke. If you ever want to see what like modern day Burger King is, you could watch Review Bruh talk about any new product that Burger King puts out. It's all trash. The other thing is that Burger King has been woke for a long time. Who could forget this?
Chicken fries for $1.69 and chick fries. It's the same chicken fries you love, but for way more, because girls like the.
What? They're $2.39 extra? Just because it comes in this cute new box. She's got eyelashes and a bow. I'm not going to pay for that. You're not. No. I'm not going to pay extra. I'm sorry.
It's exactly the same thing, the same price.
Why are you charging me more? I ordered the same thing he did. I'll literally take them out of the box.
Do you not like pink?
I don't even want fries anymore. Would you pay extra for a pink box? Would you pay extra for a pink box?
Don't have to get excited about it.
Do I look excited? I don't give a about the fact that the box is pink.
But when you go into the drugstore and you pay $2 more for your razor blades, do you say something then?
No.
So they put 42% of the time women's products cost.
That was a legitimate Burger King
They
ad.
run this and they got absolutely eviscerated for this ad. This is a few years back. But the thing is, Burger King has often dipped its greasy toes into the fryer of the political world. That commercial was 100% real. I know you might think it's an ad that my editing team did, but that was a real Burger King ad. Now, there are a lot of reasons that women's products are more expensive when they're pink. And nobody's forcing women to make stupid buying decisions. Nobody's forcing them to make stupid buying decisions. You could buy a man's razor if it's cheaper then. You could buy a no-name razor or whatever. Nobody's forcing you to pay extra for pink. That's a conscious decision that a strong, independent woman who don't need no man made. Well, over the weekend, Burger King started trending because, well, they're garbage tier. You see Dan Bongino tweet, appears Burger King is taking marketing lessons from Bud Light as they appear to be working with a group of pervs to push wokeism. Actually, my co-founder, this is the first of many public blockings of Rumble, the YouTube of the alt-right. Now, I'm pretty sure that one of Rumble's top creators, one of their top 5 creators is a socialist. But, that's neither here nor there. Facts don't matter to these people. And then, bringing up Burger King and then bringing up that these people are gross. And you see the post-millennial talking about it. But for whatever reason, Burger King quite got a lot more of the heat. And the funniest part about it is that Burger King, at least as far as I can remember, now I could be wrong, but I feel like I can say pretty confidently that Burger King was not advertising with Rumble. I mean, everybody that I talk to who is a Rumble creator, and I talk to most of the people who are sponsored Rumble creators, nobody got an ad read for boycott or for Burger King, and nobody has ever even seen a Burger King ad on the website. Burger King has come under fire after it pulled advertisements from Rumble, which hosts the podcast with British comedian RussellBrand, who's been accused of bad behavior. The news movement said that the fast food company, along with ASOS and HelloFresh, by the way, HelloFresh is a rip, make your own food, was among several businesses. No, that's it. That's the businesses that pulled. Again, Newsweek trying to lie and shift the narratives. And the point is they want people to stay on YouTube because YouTube toes the line.
I did HelloFresh for a month and I got moldy
promotes
stuff
old
2
legacy
weeks
tech.
out of the 4. Fuck
The
that.
fast food chain has not yet disclosed
So
the exact reason
it's
behind the move,
free
although some on social media have connected it with the claims of
finding
the
out.
brand.
But,
Newsweek has
yeah.
contacted Burger King, the brand, for comment by email. This decision follows a joint investigation, blah, 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 blah. I mean, the Times estimated the brand earns $33,000 a month from Rumble and $1.2 million a year from YouTube. The site is banned as monetization for this week. I can tell you, as an actual creator, as a creator that is on both YouTube and Rumble, there's almost no chance at all RussellBrand was making $1.2 million a year on Rumble. None of his videos about the jab were getting monetized. None of his videos about Bill Gates were going to get monetized. None of his videos about the military-industrial complex were ever going to get monetized. So I don't.
They still had to go out and buy
talk to somebody
something
who might have
for
inside knowledge.
to finish the box.
And I
couple
actually, I doubt he was making. Well, he definitely makes more than $33,000 a month on Rumble too. Burger King's decision to pull its advertisements, which describes itself as being immune to cancel culture, sparked fury from many people. Whoa! They listed my first, and is there a Newsweek? Is there a reason that you had to list my full legal name plus my middle name? What in the fuck? Dude.
He's pissed.
I'm actually extremely angry to see that. I can't even, like, is there a reason? I mean, we all know. I mean, you chose to dox me. I mean, right? Like, you have to put my full, I tweeted it from TheQuartering channel, TheQuartering Twitter, and you have to put my full name, including my middle name, in there. I must compose a tweet that you must all like and retweet, please. Hold on. Hey, Newsweek, is there a reason you chose to dox me? Is including my middle name, which is not public, necessary? I tweeted this from TheQuartering, which is the account you should have mentioned.
They have PTS officers on scene right now. They were requesting Oregon units to back up their unit. It's only a one-man out there. So
Absolute garbage tier.
His middle name.
Intimidation tactic.
He's not that bad. He's just
From a
he's
total scumbag. How's that sound?
piss tweeting him.
Is there another reason? Is there another reason they would include my fucking middle name?
Culver's. I love Culver's.
It's lately says they want you to be silent. Love your channel. Look forward to the Coffee Brand Coffee subscription delivery every month. Thank you. Delicious. Keep up the good work on all fronts. Like that is not public. I mean, like,
She was laying on the bed.
it's who wrote this article? Who wrote this article? Who wrote it? I want to know. Anders Angel Z. Look at this fuck. Hold on a second.
over near a unmarked black Ford Cruiser.
Why is my middle name relevant to this? Oh, Ukraine, fucking Ukraine in the bio. Oh no, that's Sweden. Okay, he's good. Hong Kong.
Pronouns.
Journo. Let's see here. I want everyone to know who he is. Fuck him. Feel free to like and retweet that on Twitter, please. Sure hope he doesn't have any skeletons in his closet.
He's following 2,000 and he has 700 followers.
Wait, is including my middle name, which is not public, necessary? Yeah, okay. All right, let's get back to the story. That makes me really mad. Like, where the fuck did he even... How far did he have to dig to find my middle name?
I love Steak and Shake. The closest one to me just shut down. Or one of them around me.
I sure hope you don't have any skeletons
You in there?
in your closet, because we'll be looking now. Is that a threat? Should I not write that? It's on Wikipedia.
I get the like the Frisco thing or whatever it is. I think it's Frisco Burger.
Back to the thing. So, you know, after I had to take a brief break after getting angry about this, but that's the whole. So they put my tweet in there when I said Burger King hates free speech. It will be very easy to never eat there again. At Burger King, goodbye. Okay, that's true. Matthew Nickel, self-described ultra mega patriot with 24,000 followers, responded to the report adding "F you Burger King, I'll never eat your garbage again. Boycott Burger King. Woke corporations suck. Do you agree?" Blocked. That's if people do that at the end of their tweet. If you write "Do you agree" at the end of your tweet, I'm blocking you. I can't stand it. Podcast host Kyle Becker added, "Stop supporting un-American companies like Burger King, HelloFresh, Bud Light, Target, Kohl's, Delta, American Airlines. Yeah, they hate you. They hate your rights. They hate America." Well, that I agree with. After receiving a letter from the Commitment Committee, Rumble founder CEO, we already know how that went. But I mean, like, this is Burger King with their pink tax. They were trending all day. Burger King faces a Whopper of a Bud Light style boycott. Like, I don't even like, you know, I don't think it's the same thing as Bud Light. I just think that I'm 100% fine. You know, I'm 100% fine never going to Burger King again. It's not exactly that big of a flex because I can't think of the last time I ate at Burger King. I suppose, I mean, I suppose, you know, I suppose would I be like actively involved? I mean, their chicken fries, I suppose, are pretty good. I don't know. There's just so many better places to get meat. Like even in like the garbage tier fast food chain, I mean, Arby's is way better. Wendy's is better. And if there's a Culver's around, that's way, way better. Now I wonder if these people put my full name in there. Burger King has pulled its ads from Rumble because free speech platform refuses to play judge, jury, and executioner of RussellBrand. The UK governor demanded the platform to demonetize him. Reminder that, that's from Charlie Kirk. Yep, time to Bud Light Burger King. The Sand Reckoner followed. The danger facing Burger King is that while it's hard to see a movement defending brand gaining much traction, the burger chain is, like Bud Light, easily replaceable. The anger here may make limited sense, but it's easy enough for people to be morally outraged at the brand when they can just switch to McDonald's or Wendy's. Big agree. While many posts simply say they don't eat Burger King because they don't like the food, countless tweets took this angle. So Burger King has gone woke. That's fine. Enjoy going broke. You've lost my business. Oh, and one more thing. F you. If you support canceling someone for a vague accusation, I'll never support eating at your establishments. Yeah, I mean, I think that, this is how it's supposed to go, right? This is how it's supposed to be. You picked a side, and, for a long time, we never fought back. We did, but we were less organized, and we were less, yeah, order 10 Whoppers and drive off. No. I would never tell anyone to do that, but that would be funny. Because again, the people that work at Burger King are not the ones that made this decision. It's just like with Bud Light. You got to be careful with that kind of stuff. Like, I wouldn't support anyone going into a Bud Light and being a jerk, because it's like the dudes make $10 an hour making burgers. Like they didn't make this decision. Yeah, it's definitely a wild one. It's a wild time. What's better than burgers though is supporting me directly with picking up some sweet coffee brand coffee. We just launched our fall flavors, pumpkin pie and spiked jack-o'-lantern, which was wildly popular last year, available in whole bean and ground. And also there might be a new flavor up in real time. There's a new flavor dropping tomorrow. I'm not sure if it's up yet, but I can tell you it's super delicious. Butterscotch toffee. So if you're watching this tomorrow, that could be up. Doesn't look like it's up just yet. There's pumpkin pie, just not yet. But anyway, I would love to earn your business today. Link in the description. Promo code TheQuartering to save. I should actually.
That's true. 357.
Add a reply.
Everyone I was never stationed at, but the thing is, I still didn't even go there. I went off post to eat.
Saw the quartering, and instead of attributing it to the brand,
Full Polka was easy because Entrance Road had everything.
Sleuthed the
Sonic,
internet to find my full legal name,
Popeyes,
including
McDonald's,
name.
Wendy's, Taco Bell.
This is a deliberate decision and attempt to
Anthony's
silence.
Pizza.
I should say apparently
That's it, like the
Wikipedia has
NCO clubs and
out there
stuff, and
somewhere,
like
but my point stands the same.
Commissary, or not commissary, but the
Right,
PX.
so that.
They always had
So you
Anthony's
guys said it was
Pizza.
on Wikipedia. Yeah, the butterscotch toffee is ridiculous. When I was going through the sample phases, I could smell it outside of the box that that I got it in, and I was like, oh my god. Also, apparently, Wikipedia does list my middle name. Changes nothing because him using it is deliberate and an extra level of work to name me. And they didn't do it. They didn't. Okay, they didn't do that to many other accounts that were quoted. But my point sounds the same. Like that loser did that. Let's check their Twitter timeline. Let's see what we got going on at Anders. Let's see what Anders is talking about. The Nazi thing. Wow, one whole like. Must be a really popular journo. Must be a really popular journo. Ooh, one like on that one too. Okay. So they're a nobody. Wrestler's ball.
So he just got all bent over nobody.
He doesn't even have anything original to say ever.
But somehow was able to publish on Newsweek.
Oh, something about Sneeko, 5 whole likes. Boy, I sure hope there's no. I'm sure hope this guy didn't have any bad stuff in his past. Dickwad. So let's get away from the RussellBrand stuff because there's other news. Sarah Fields calling out Sisson on Twitter big time right now, looking like a real Jussie Smollett. Sarah Fields is my employee. Did you know that? See? Boom. Okay, so oh yeah, she's killing him. Yeah, a lot of people don't know this. I don't mention it that much. But I have a news agency. And we employ like real journalists, people that do the real work. And it's called thepublica.com. So we cover, Actual news. We were going to have podcasts, but we're getting behind on that. News brand news, yeah. All right. You should legally change your middle name to Burger King sucks. Yeah, and then demand an update. Yeah, I like it. Oh, pronouns in the bio. Yeah, of course. Of course. Anyhoozle, let's talk about AOC. Because she did a goof, a gaffe. She made an oopsie. Well, not looking good for Anheuser-Busch InBev today, is it? All right. YouTube CEO. Damn, look at all the members joining for Brand. Good for him. Yeah, I think his stream's going to do really, really good. Oh, wait, he just uploaded another video? What is this? Or is it
The
just a clip?
corporatist state and global media war against free speech brand was driven by direct British government decree. On that, in the absence of an external enemy, the domestic...
Okay, yeah, that's probably just a clip from his show. Thanks, Doth. Appreciate you. It definitely made more people
Good night,
over the level.
Dreamland.
I think I gained like, I don't know, 2,000 subscribers over the weekend, which is a lot, you know, as a percentage. I think Russell gained like 220,000. I just to say tentatively, at least 200,000. Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez, one of the brightest stars in the squad, has passed, I'm pretty sure, 0 legislation, and is by and large seen by anybody as a complete joke, a social media influencer. I mean, that's essentially what AOC is, an e-girl. She likes to go on gamers' Twitch streams and this and the other, make TikToks and make drinks on Instagram. I'm not saying this is a bad strategy to get the young vote, which is the only people that vote for her, but I think she's wildly, propped up by morons, like most politicians, I would argue, I suppose. And over the weekend, well, she tried to support les unions, well, it didn't go very well. Viewers were left scratching their heads on Sunday morning as Democrat radical Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez explained why she still owns a Tesla, despite claiming she planned to replace it with a union-made model. Now, one thing I can say is, I suppose AOC is a different example. She's got plenty of money, but like, it was like even when Carhartt, for example, forced the jab on all their employees. I had literally just bought like a dozen or 15 brand new Carhartt hoodies. I'm not going to burn them. I'm going to wear them. I'm not going to buy any more of them. So similarly with a car, I mean, you spend 50 grand on it. It's awfully weird to like make a, it's a little more difficult to make an ideological stand when you have to buy another $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 car. Viewers are left scratching their head on Sunday morning as Democrat radical Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez explained why she still owns a Tesla despite she wanted to replace it. The New York Congresswoman faced backlash in 2021 when it emerged that she had bought a $35,000 Model 3 from Elon Musk. I don't think it was $35,000. I mean, she was, she bought like base model. Anyway, Elon Musk's defiantly non-union company, despite several run-ins with the world's richest man, she bought a Tesla anyway. Last year, she said she would love to switch to an electric car from a unionized workforce, but viewers were left a little wiser after she was challenged about her delay on CBS's Face the Nation yesterday. Well, I would argue that, this is a base model Tesla. Okay, so it is base. I would say certainly you can buy an electric car from Audi. I don't know if they're unionized. You can buy one from Ford. I'm sure they're unionized. Chevy, I don't know if they have one, but there are probably many union electric cars available. The thing is, none of them are anywhere near as good as Tesla. They will catch up though, and in short order they will. I think the Ford Lightning is a really nice truck. It's way overpriced. It should be $60K, not $90. But they'll figure it out. The fact of the matter is, a base Model 3 is still leagues better than anybody else's option. That's just the fact. You can hate Teslas, you can scream about government handouts, you can scream about Elon. The fact of the matter is, in every conceivable way, a base Model 3, which came out 45 years ago, is still better significantly than anything else on the market. It's a problem but her answer, which is wild. Is there a problem with the quality? Is there a problem with the style? Is the market just not there? Asked host Margaret Brennan. No. Look, our car was produced during the lockdowns. When travel, mass, before a Poke had come out, So travel between New York and Washington, the safest way we had determined was an EV. What? She's blaming the coof for why she bought a Tesla? I don't even understand. What does that even mean? And a lot of the replies, Elon Musk, apparently AOC only got a Tesla because the jab wasn't out yet. Brennan called AOC a hypocrite for saying she would buy a union-made EV because she actually bought a Tesla. And Brennan asked why. AOC incredulously said, our car was purchased during the lockdowns before the poke was out. If that makes sense to you, quit day drinking and go lay down. This was AOC makes word salad for breakfast, claims she bought a Tesla because the jab wasn't available, so it was safer that way. What? What? Huh? I'm sure this woman has plenty of money. But prior to some of the new models coming out on the market that had the range available, but we're also looking into trading in our car now, and hopefully we will soon. Who is we? Rouse broke out on social media as viewers tried to tease out the meaning behind the words, with some admitting the effort defeated them. Absolutely hilarious. Yes, news of the squad members' Tesla emerged in 2021 when it was seen parked illegally outside of Whole Foods in Washington, D.C. She had already slammed the company over the millions it received in subsidies.
True.
When we as a public choose to invest in new technologies, we deserve a return on that investment. Okay, great. AOC, I agree with you. And hey, look, if you're tuning in, that might shock you. I agree. Okay? I agree. When we as a public invest in something, and I'm going to tell you why all of you are going to want to agree too. When it came to the development,
as well as the
jab,
poke versus no
do
poke
you know who paid for that?
argument.
When it came to the development of the jab in the United States and also in Germany, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but the person that paid for that was the taxpayer. That's who paid for it. And you know who reaped all of the financial benefits from it? Well, maybe our check's in the mail. Maybe our check's in the mail. We're all investors in the jab, right? We all invested in it. So I believe they made something like $6 or $8 billion or something like that. So we should probably be getting a check at any moment. Quote, for far too long, we gave money to Tesla. We gave them money to a ton of people, and we got no return on our investment.
Yeah, the government
and then
bought
the public
most
made
of
it
them
creating
shots.
technologies, and it's about time we got our due
With
for
our
it.
money. So
I
it
mean,
was
I think like
developed with and paid for.
You see, Justin Alexander Ocasio-Cortez says that part of the reason she has a Tesla is not a different electric car is because the jab hadn't come out yet when she purchased it. Socialists aren't the brightest people. This comment came after AOC was called out for owning a non-union made car. Her antipathy deepened and became oddly personal as she engaged in a direct spat on Twitter with the company owner who told her to stop flirting with him.
In my opinion, that was a
Tired
good
of having to
choice.
collectively stress out about what explosion of hate crimes is happening because some billionaire with an ego problem unilaterally controls a massive communication platform. She wrote in a tweet, "Stop hitting on me. I'm really shy." Musk replied, adding a blushing emoji. Then she tried to say, "Oh, I was talking about Zuckerberg, but okay," before deleting a tweet a minute later because everyone knew she wasn't talking about Zuckerberg. Nice try. And I think that like ultimately, AOC question over 9. None of these people, by the way, AOC is an easy target because she's so dumb and that makes it more fun. But like most politicians don't walk the walk. We know that. If 2022 to 2023 taught us anything, is that none of these politicians, with the exception of very few, actually walk the walk. I mean, look at all these Republicans who said they care about Section 230. All these Republicans that say that we need to stop, robbing the American people to fund what is, in my opinion, a proxy war, perhaps a money laundering situation with Ukraine. And all these Republicans are voting for it, agreeing with it. And, I think that, like, it's one of the most hilarious things. And it's great. I'm happy, enjoy masking in your Tesla. I'm sure she'll go out and buy. I mean, it's not like she doesn't have money. She could go buy. I'm sure she uses campaign funds to buy it anyway. The thing is about being non-union, Tesla pays between $45 and $50 per hour, whereas Detroit Big Tech pays between $64 and $67, factoring wages, benefits, and profit sharing. Musk's car maker is also famous for not relying on suppliers for parts to make EVs, keeping the entire manufacturing assembly process in-house at the company. That's actually good, being vertically integrated. Man, imagine complaining about making $50 an hour. That's a solid job. $100,000 a year, no college education required. Pretty good deal. Detroit paying 64 to 67 is an even more incredible deal. Paying employees $120,000 a year, that's a pretty good job. No wonder new cars cost as much as they do. I remember when there were several really nice cars you could get under $25,000. That list gets smaller and smaller every day. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like on it, and we'll talk to you again real soon. I knew covering Tesla, everyone was going to start arguing about them in the chat, but if you want a Tesla, buy one. If you don't, don't. Most of what people say in a negative light about Teslas is not based on any fact whatsoever. They're a toy. They're not going to take over the world. My back itches. Like a bear, I need to scratch it on the wall. Megan Rapinoe. Hey, you could say EVs suck, and I can say don't buy one then. Nobody wants. I'm not telling anyone they have to buy one. Oh, Megan Rapinoe. You know, the woman that single-handedly lost the U.S. women's team in her final year. You know, the one that's happy now that she's retiring to tell all of her female partners or female soccer players that they should give their spot up to a biological man. You know, that Megan Rapinoe who says, "I deserve this. I deserve this," Megan Rapinoe says, because, well, I mean, who could argue with that? Of course she does. She deserves it. Well, Megan Rapinoe captains the United States in her final match for the national team, but refuses to sing the national anthem. Megan Rapinoe has not been singing the national anthem for years, a practice she started as part of a protest against racial inequality. On Sunday, the last time she took the field for the United States, that didn't change. Rapinoe was named the captain for the team and started for the United States in the final game of her illustrious and at times controversial career. I remember when this team lost to a bunch of 12-year-old boys, I think. I remember that. Her captaincy is partially an ode to her career coming to an end and partially a formality. The USA almost always gives the armband to players celebrating their 200th cap, and an accomplishment Rapinoe earned at the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup, where the women got absolutely blown out of the water. Walking out onto the pitch at Chicago Soldier Field, Rapinoe had a moment of honor before the crowd where her and her immediate family and her fiancé, retired WNBA legend Sue Bird, greeted her. After the pomp and circumstance, Rapinoe stood with a brave face and did not sing the national anthem while it was played, nor did she place her hand over her heart, apparently. Very few of her teammates joined her, a practice that has been scrutinized extensively by conservative pundits and media across the world during this summer's World Cup. But this criticism was hardly ever heard when the U.S. men's team stayed stoic during their World Cup in 2022, nor was it voiced when the USA baseball team was silent at the 2023 Baseball Classic. Rather, a lot of criticism is voiced because of the activism of this team, and in particular Rapinoe. Well, also the fact that they suck balls. You know, that's kind of part of it. I think that I think this is a boring story. I'm just gonna skip it. I don't care. It's boring. Megan Rapinoe is boring. I thought there'd be more to it, but there wasn't. The fact that she didn't sing it doesn't matter to me. She's a weirdo leftist loser. With that, we will end today's show with a final word. If you are watching and you haven't yet followed, please do. There's a green follow button down below the video where it says follow. You might have to create an account. I would be eternally grateful if you did. Download the Rumble app too. I know it needs to get better, but at least it notifies you when I go live. I'm live every weekday, 22 hours after this, every day from noon to 2. So we'll be live again in 22 hours. And I would like to remind / ask, if you're in a position to, please do consider clicking the join button and then the support button. It takes you to my locals account where we'll be uploading some members only content once a month. But more importantly, it goes directly to supporting my team of 2 full-time video editors, my graphic designer, and it keeps us all in the fight and reduces the chance that some butthole could go after our sponsors effectively. I hope you enjoyed today's stream, and I really hope I'll see you again tomorrow at noon with a whole another day full of conversation. I should see who's Friday's guest. Did I say who it was? Friday's guest is, let's see, Harley Morenstein on Friday from Epic Mealtime. Going to be an interesting one. Jeremy Dale Hambley signing off.
All right, let's see. What else do I have lined up here?
Some Lions news and rumors for you folks today in this video. We're going to break it all down. First off, the
Fantasy
line
football
for
stuff.
Lions versus Packers. Big game on Thursday. We're going to talk about it. The latest Lions trade rumors. 2 players came up. We're going to talk about it. Lions observations versus Atlanta Falcons. We're going to get into this game, what I thought did well, and the NFC North. Let's go. If you're a fan of the Detroit Lions and you don't want to miss out on the latest news and rumors, make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the channel. That's how you don't miss out. Hit that notification bell, and let's grow this channel for the Detroit Lions. On Thursday, we got a massive game. The Detroit Lions are favored at Lambeau Field Thursday at 8:25 p.m. The total over and under is 45 points, and shockingly, Lions are favored by 1 point at Lambeau Field. And I think it's about right, because if you look at both of the teams, and I'll do a better breakdown of this game tomorrow and or on Wednesday, you'll see that the Lions are favored by multiple stats. And they're better on offense and on defense in many situations. So I understand it, because if you look at who the Detroit Lions have faced, they faced better teams compared to the Green Bay Packers. And you want to see the Lions be able to go to Green Bay and win and take a massive jump in the NFC North. Huge game for Detroit. Just a massive game here, because the Lions could be 3-1, Packers could be 2-2, and of course the other teams are 0-3. So who wins on Sunday? Put L for Lions or P for Packers. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. We're going to get into the trade rumors right now here. And Sideline Report, Bleach Report as well, came out with an idea of the Detroit Lions trading for Derek Barnett, edge rusher from the Philadelphia Eagles. They said the Lions may also be wise to take a look at Barnett as a standout pass rusher. James Houston is set to miss at least 6 to 8 weeks with a fractured ankle. So who is Derek Barnett? You've heard of him, I'm sure. Edge rusher there, again, from the Eagles, 6'3", 259 pounds, got 32-inch arms. He was drafted in the first round of 2017, pick 14, and he's 27-year-old, so not too old. Why would they trade Derek Barnett? Because they're not utilizing him a whole lot over there. They got a phenomenal defensive line for the Philadelphia Eagles. So he could be a player who is expendable. Don't really know the trade compensation for something like this. Maybe a 6th round pick or a 7th round pick. That would be my idea. What has he done this year? Not a whole lot. Here he only had 1 solo tackle, 1 assist, and 2 total, 0 sacks because of the lack of usage for him on this football team. It's not because he's poor. He's just not being used that much. So he could be a player that they could dispose. Why I think this would not be something the Detroit Lions should do, and I don't think they will do it. We have a lot of pass rushers on this team. We already have Julian Okwara. We already have Romeo Okwara, Charles Harris, Aiden Hutchinson, John Kaminsky. Yes, James Houston is injured, but he is going to come back at some point for the Detroit Lions. Just because you lose a guy doesn't mean you instantly need to go out and get a guy. That's the whole point of depth, folks, is you have players that can come in and get it done. Don't need to send out a draft pick for a player who, in my opinion, I just don't think it'd be much of an upgrade if you ask me. That's my personal opinion. Maybe you think different. Another player that the Detroit Lions, rumored here, trade for from Heavy.com and a Bleacher Report as well, is trading for Marquez Brown or Hollywood Brown. He formerly of the Baltimore Ravens, and he's currently with the Arizona Cardinals. As the Detroit Lions may want to consider Brown. Knoxville, Amon-Ra St. Brown is a star, #1 receiver, but the team lacks speed in the passing game, and I'm going to debate that, how I think it's wrong. After beating the Kansas City Chiefs in Week 1, the Detroiters arrived the title contender, and it should be willing to go all in 2023. Marquez Brown, who is he? Wide receiver, 5'9", 166 pounds. He's the speed guy, very fast. 30-inch arms, drafted in round 1 in 2019, picked 25 overall, and he's 26 years old. What did he do so far this season? Now he's got 14 receptions for 143 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a 10.2 average. I think he's better than that. They don't really have a great offense over there for the Arizona Cardinals. But guess what, folks? Why I don't think they trade him. The Arizona Cardinals defeated the Dallas Cowboys. The Arizona Cardinals has now competed in every game they've played this year. Yes, they're 1-2, and a lot of people thought they could be the first pick of the draft, but folks, they're actually competing. They're actually playing hard. And Marquise Brown was a player who pretty much sealed the victory for them yesterday. They're not going to get rid of him. I don't believe so. And guess what, folks? I don't think we need to get him. I don't think we need Hollywood Brown. He says we lack speed. Khalif Raymond's fast. Folks, we don't lack speed. Our offense is good with Laporta. Josh Reynolds comes in there. St. Brown doing his thing. And just in a couple weeks, guess who is coming back? Jameson Williams. So what are you going to get at him? He gets introduced to the offense, and by that time, Jameson Williams already back. And you guys, Jahmyr Gibbs. So I don't believe the Detroit Lions need him, nor should they trade for him. But look, that's just me. Let me know in the comment section right now. Should the Detroit Lions trade for Derek Barnett? Put DB if you think they should trade. Marquise Hollywood Brown, put MB. Or if you think nothing, put nothing in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts. Let's get some observations for this game that occurred for the Detroit Lions. First off, Brian Branch, to me, should be in consideration for Defensive Rookie of the Year. You look at his stats so far this
Let's see something real quick. Well, it kills the audio from it, doesn't it? All right.
Consideration for Defensive Rookie of the Year. He was a dominant player for the Lions. Defensive line, absolutely amazing. Stopping the run for less than 50 yards on run defense. 7 sacks in this game, and they were blitzing as well and mixing out players like Isaiah Buggs. Love what I saw from the Detroit Lions defensive line. Good job for Aaron Glenn, mixing it up, getting ferocious with blitzes, having Jack Campbell blitz, all sorts of blitzes taking place. Aaron Glenn did a really good job after having a rough game last week. He comes in and has a very good defense, a good game plan and everything. Sam Laporta is absolutely amazing and a steal like Brian Branch. He's becoming one of the main targets for Jared Goff. He continues to almost do 100 yards. This guy is learn the game quick for a rookie tight end, where a position it's very difficult, and he's been good in run. He's been good in pass. He's getting open, and he catches everything that comes his way. Special teams has been damn good in this game. We punted the ball with Jack the Goat Fox. Pinned him back, and guess what? Riley Patterson's making field goals. Special teams deserves a lot of credit there. And on coverage as well. Good job against the Atlanta Falcons. And Amon-Ra St. Brown continues to be a dominant wide receiver for the Detroit Lions. This time using his amazing juke skills and his cuts to get extra yards. If you've seen the game, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The Detroit Lions had a really good game. And credit to the coaches and all the players in this bad boy. For sure. I got a question for you after watching what we've seen and you're seeing from the NFC North. Will the Detroit Lions win the NFC North? Why for yes and for no? You know your thoughts in the comments below. Let's get into the NFC North. The Detroit Lions and Green Bay Packers are 2-1, and they face off on Thursday for the crown of the NFC North so far. Winner goes to 3-1, top of the NFC North. Loser falls to second place at 2-2 at 500. This is a road game for the Detroit Lions. This is a big big game. The Lions have an opportunity to not be the team that is trying, but the team that is on Thursday. Big game. A lot of players, I think, is going to come back from injury in that game. I think Taylor Decker probably comes back. Watch for Emmanuel Mosley. Maybe Halapoulivaati Vaitai, David Montgomery, Kirby Joseph. Big game. I think they rested some of these guys, waiting because we knew that Thursday was a massive game. You look at the Minnesota Vikings right now, they're 0-3. They look really bad. Really bad. They're just not winning games. They're damn near, I'm hearing people wanting them to trade players like Kirk Cousins away and kind of tank. Chicago Bears are looking like the worst team in the NFL, bar none. They look awful. They look like they potentially could go in 0-17. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen. The odds of that is extremely unlikely. Maybe they win two or three games, right?
Yeah, they're not the
they
Lions.
Look bad, and it's a two-horse race at this point. And I'm not giving a lot of love here to Minnesota and Chicago. Look, if Chicago loses to Denver, who just let 70 points happen, Chicago's the first pick in the draft. That's what I'm seeing right there. All in all, it's looking pretty good this year for the Detroit Lions. Folks, if you like Detroit Lions news and rumors and the latest information, you need to subscribe to the channel. Trying to get to 42,000 subscribers. With your help, hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on the latest Lions news and rumors.
Okay, I'm going to check something real quick because it used to do the whole desktop. Now it's just doing the tab I'm on. Okay. This is what my network looks like. All right. This is our league here. Standings. Of course, this hasn't. Well, I guess it's. They already determined. Is this one over with? Everybody's played? Yeah, okay. Let's see, how is he up in the standings like that? Don't know who this person is. I must send out a message to the whole league asking. Everybody else we know. I do. At least I know. The wife's doing better than me. She's killing it this week. I'm not sure what these are. Oh, this is how many people have. I don't know what the fuck these blinks are here. I'm losing everybody, but this is week to week the matchups. See, week 1, I beat Anna. Last year changed the name. That's the name of the league. Farlap lost to Motor City Kitties, a buddy of mine. Balloon Knots lost to that unknown person. Bijan Mustard beat Hertz Donut badly. Looks like they didn't even have their lineup set up. My brother lost to Hooker and Blue. And the wife put a hurting on Matt R. I beat my brother, barely, by less than a point. He hasn't talked to me since. There's the rest of the scores. This is what we have going this week. Apparently, this one is complete. I can beat him by 10. I'm putting hurting on Matt because Matt's got 2 people in his lineup that aren't even active. Farlap's killing Bijan Mustard. Hurts Donut is beating Balloon Knots. That's Dirty Dog. My wife is killing my brother. And Hooker and Blow is beating Anna, who I don't think has even touched her team. She's starting any inactives. Yeah, she has a couple here that no score. There's no note with them either. Usually tells you if they're. Yeah, see, this suspended player she should have in her reserves. Anyway, oh wow, they actually have like full recaps here of each matchup. Yeah, Raheem Mostert this week, he went off. So wait, you have one for each one, I suppose. There's one. Barely beat my brother. Mike Evans saved me there. One of the closest matchups to date with a .88 point of margin. Yeah, that was when I was starting Burrow. I didn't do it again after that. My kicker killed it. Moody, I got Jake Moody from Michigan. Yeah, I had Burrow. He's still questionable for tonight, but I didn't use him this week. My team. Against Matt. Deshaun Hunt Watson. A respectable game, 21 points. Gibbs was a little bit disappointing. Amon St. Ron did well. Sam Laporta blew up. He got a touchdown and 84 yards. But we'll see what Burrow does. Yeah, I had my lineup set up. I offered a trade of Juju, but she's not paying attention, so she didn't even. I mean, I would have declined it instantly if I'd seen the trade I offered her. I doubt the league because I have it set to where the league gets to decide if it's a legit trade or not. They'd have been like, nah. Yeah, not a bad week. Squeak by another one. Not scoring. I'm the lowest scoring undefeated person in the league. There. And I will be still. My wife's killing it. but this person who we don't know who it is blowing everybody away. Devontae Adams. He offered me a trade and took it right down because he really realized how stupid it was. No way in hell I was going to accept it. What time is it? I'm just trying to kill a little bit of time until he comes, until Roberto Govea comes home. Let's look at Anna. Yeah, her pinned comment. If you want to help those in Maui, the genocide there in Maui. She dropped me. She mentioned me here. So that's why she inspired me to look into Russell's stream today. I was like, damn, I'm definitely going to play that in 2 times or 1.5 times. Actually, with him, you can only go to 1.25 because he already talks so fast.
Hey. I said certified free. 7 days a week. Hey. Wet ass P word. Make that pullout game weak. Yeah. You happen with some wet ass P word. Bring a bucket and a mop for this wet ass P word. Give me everything you've got for this wet ass P word. Beat it up, N-word. Catch a charge. Extra large and extra hard. Put this P word right in your face. Swipe your nose like a credit card. Hop on top if I want to ride. I do a kegel while it's inside. Spit in my mouth, look in my eyes. This P word is wet. Come take a dive. It continued along these. Yo, Ben Shapiro got back.
Damn. Anna. Okay, Dan. Split the brave. Throw the shoe.
Actually recently published some, they're calling it long, we have long COVID, and they're saying there's some evidence of long vax of people who are dealing with symptoms post-vaccine for long periods of time. Do you think those stories are worth hearing, or are those people that are anti-vaxxers we should?
I don't think they're ignored. Remember, we have one of the most sophisticated post-licensure and post-authorization monitoring systems the world has ever seen. We have the Vaccine Adverse Events Reporting System, Vaccine Safety Data Link.
VAERS is showing
CSI.
a number of vaccine injuries showing up on there.
Well, remember, VAERS is just a top level.
It's not reviewed.
Top level. It doesn't find cause and effect. It's sort of hypothesis generating, and then use the other system to find it. And so far, that I've not seen evidence for strong vaccines in any of
Hotels is fucking nuts, dude. Good stuff. So let's add this little freak out here. Oops, closed it up. Wait, did that offer me desktop audio? Hang on. I'll just tap. Nope.
Just from security. So you think Taylor Swift comes out against Trump?
I don't care if they write that. I'm sad that I didn't 2 years. I can't see another commercial and see her disguising these policies behind the words Tennessee Christian values. Those aren't Tennessee Christian values. I live in Tennessee. I am Christian. That's not what we.
She's fucking got TDS. She's talking about Marsha Blackburn, who never said anything like that. Where are we at? Oh, we're getting close. There we go.
It is Monday. We are back in business. We've got a full week ahead, no doubt about it. We're just getting started. Although today was a little bit slow. I thought we were going to see a little bit more activity on the day-to-day, but we still have some good segments to attend to, and we have a little bit of a transition. So the locals, my understanding is they're transitioning their video software right now. So locals are locals friends, and the audio might be a little bit wonky. So if your audio is wonked, jump into a different stream. Tomorrow morning, we're going to try RTMP. So we're going to try the new technology tomorrow morning. I was going to try it today, but we're not going to do it. Locals is working hard. They're hard at work. So we'll see if how the audio hangs out today. John Allen gave us a good heads up on that one. So if the feed is a little bit grained out, swap the feeds. But we got FMF is here. JC's here. We got Zach Nichols in the house. What's up, Zach? We got inDOCtriNATION. We got 51K. I see John McGarvey. We got Words is in the house. We got...
Oh, there it goes. As soon as I say that, it gets wonky.
Tanya's here. What's up, this old guy? See the Veil. Uncle Shane is here. Man, it's good to see everybody. Hopefully you had a beautiful weekend. And Adesi is here. John says, Rob, stop saying the word transition, man. You're freaking me out. Going to come out here as Roberta. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. Oh, God. Not going to happen. All right, let's get started, shall we?
All right. Well, I'm going to watch this.
3.
I'm gonna recommend this channel.
And 1.
On Rumble here.
All right, my friends. I just pressed the let's go. And I think they are alive and well, which is tremendous. That means we can go ahead and get started. So let's do it, shall we? Hello, my friends, and welcome back to yet another episode of Watching the Watchers Live, the show that spotlights misconduct involving police, prosecutors, and politicians. My name is Robert Gouveia. I am a criminal defense attorney, and today we are talking about Jack Smith and about some evidence in the Trump trial. Of course, he's got a bunch of them going on. We've covered
All right, let me drop
4
this.
different indictments. Today,
I'm
we're
gonna kill
going
my
to talk
stream for now.
about Jack Smith. We've got 2 different
I'll be back to do some
cases
poker
that we're
later on.
following. One, of course, in Florida over the classified documents. The other is the January 6th case taking place out of Washington, D.C. And we've got a couple new filings. One I want to pay close attention to, which is in the Florida case. In Florida, Trump and his team, this is the classified documents case, they're saying that they don't have enough of the evidence yet. Basically, Jack Smith was supposed to disclose discovery. The government has the case file.
Go check him out.
Grab it all and hand it over to the defense before the defense can even begin preparing, their defense. And then the defense would have to review what they've got and ask for more time and all the things. But
Gonna
Trump's
do the
defense is
outro.
saying that they have not even been granted really a large portion of that discovery. And so they're asking for a revised scheduling order. In other words, saying Jack Smith is not giving us what we need. So, Judge, we're going to need some more time. So we'll go through that file.
I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats. Baby's bad, oh baby's hella bad. After her there ain't no coming back. Wanna take a run at that. I think she's feeling me, turn it up a few degrees. My imagination of her body gets the best of me. Oh gosh, she's such a tease, bitten lips, bruised knees. I'm addicted to her, need her touching me. Cause she got a bad little waist, and we tearing down this place. Off the liquor that we chase, got some egos to the face. Baby, I don't need no space, coming closer for a taste. And I'll show you how I make everything just fade away. Cause she's like sex, drugs, cocaine, body so insane. Jealous of the clothing that she wears up on that tight frame. All game, no shame, baby came here to play. I feel like an addict cause she's sex, drugs, cocaine. Got a fine little body and her mind's kinda naughty. They say that once you taste it, you cannot replace it. She could get you high, all the dopamine inside triggers fast once she's naked. Her body's a creation. They say the devil made her for his entertainment, but even he couldn't learn how to contain it. Her high heels make a damn good statement. There is no replacement, a body by Satan. Cause she got a bad little waist, and we tearing down this place. Off the liquor that we chase, got some egos to the face. Baby, I don't need no space, coming closer for a taste. And I'll show you how I make everything just fade away. Cause she's like sex, drugs, cocaine, body so insane. Jealous of the clothing that she wears up on her tight frame.